All right, all right, all right. It's a Pontificator night. How is everybody out there in YouTube land? This is RT Bear coming to you live from Hack Shack Studios. Man, that was very DJ. That was very DJ of me. Yeah, we got a fun show. There was a little bit of work to get this show to you today. It took a group effort to network. We were like networking out in the middle of the sea, like we couldn't find each other, and we're like battling waves and swimming towards each other, and hey, do you got Bob's link? Do you have Todd's link? And so on and so forth. Twitter is not like completely down, but their messaging, their private messages, their DMs are down. So that's usually that's our go-to, man. That's our green room, is all on Twitter. And for some reason, Twitter's private messages were not working. So the Pontificators were lost at sea. We could not find each other. And then out of nowhere, this giant light, kind of like a lighthouse on the shore, and it was Clint Helinski, and he was throwing out the light, man. He was throwing the light out, and then I was like, "There's the light," and then I just swam towards it, and I found Clint, and then we found Todd, and then we found Rob, and then we found Pedro, and then we found Bob. We found everybody, man. We threw everybody a lifeboat, and then we all got on the same boat. It was a small boat, but we didn't capsize it, and we managed to make it to shore. And just in time to put a show together for you guys. So it came down to seconds, man. I mean, we were putting the show together. Well, we always do anyway, down to the last second. All right, man. We got some people in the chat. This is interactive, you guys. So feel free to chime in. Southern Cecil, howdy. I need a beer break. I should have brought up a couple of them. We got Tech Zombie. Hale, how do you say this? Harul guy, Sup. We got Clint Helinski always in the chat, man. Clint is always lurking. I think there's more than one Clint. I think there's 2 or 3 of them. Let's see who else we got. We got Comic Book Bob. We got Citizen Ronan. How are you? Looks like we got some stuff going on here in the chat. I think we can start the show. So I am going to introduce my Pontificator brothers and bring them in and see how everybody's been. First off, we got Mr. Sexy, Mr. CG Sexy himself, the master of the the booblages, Mr. Clint Helinski. How have you been, brother?
Yo, what up? We're all flailing around in the ocean there. I'm DiCaprio that gets pushed off the little piece of wood.
Yeah, you're freezing
my
right
Kate
now.
Winslet. I'm making sure my number one priority is to make sure that art is safe. And
Am I the wind?
I can freeze in the water and bob around like a popsicle.
No, unlike that cunt, I would bring you up on that chunk of wood, man, because I knew I would know there was plenty of room for you, Clint. We could spoon on that, that piece
spoon
of wood.
To stay warm. Spoon to stay warm.
But thanks for making the effort. It's cool to see you here. And you were vacationing for a while, man. Where'd you go?
St. Martin in the Caribbean. It's my favorite island because there's like an all-inclusive, and then there's a casino and a strip club right across the street. So I just kind of work that triangle, and occasionally like I'll stop at the beach to like look at the ocean, and then I just keep eating and gambling, and yeah, that's kind of.
Yeah, I don't know if you're like me. Like I'm not one of those guys oh, let's go parasailing, let's go skiing. I just like to like you said, you have that triangle, right? And that's like you wake up and then you just kind of make the triangle. And I
like to start early, keep the all day buzz going, and then just walk. All inclusive is nice because you can just walk in and eat any time of the day.
Oh shit, that's cool.
Yeah, and just like bring me steak, And it's like, it's 8 a.m., sir. I said, bring me steak.
And then you slam your fist down on the table.
Yes.
Yes. Well, that sounds like a blast. So you're all.
It was a nice time.
you're all relaxed and everything.
Oh
Let's
yeah. Oh, and I
speaking
got the
of,
massage too, Art.
ooh, that's the best. Outdoor massages by the pool.
Outdoor, like overlooking the cliff and the ocean, and the sheets were blowing. It was like one of them like commercial thingies.
Yeah.
It was good.
Just do yourself a favor. Never really get into the personal life of the person that's massaging
No,
you, because it
no,
always ends up sad. I've never had one of those stories go well. It's like,
no. You
yeah,
want
well,
the
my
quiet.
sister, and
Yeah,
we
you want the
live in a
quiet
shack.
massage.
Yeah, we live in a shack and we don't make any money off the island. And yeah, it's not good. It's not good.
No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, don't make small talk. Well, we have we have our brown brother from down under. That's how I always, and he's shaking his head already. He already hates me. Like I'm working on just making Pedro's list every week with insulting him. But he's a brilliant artist. So far, I think we're still friends. I hope. And the man is an animation genius. So without further ado, Mr. Pedro, Ang, how are you? You're on mute, Mr. Mute,
Yeah.
Mr. Mute button.
Clint, you were so drunk. I was the one who gave you the massage. Enjoy.
Oh shit!
I knew I felt the strength in those hands.
Yeah, dude, it's like you felt that grip.
Oh, that's another thing. I don't do men massaging.
That's horrible.
No, that's what I'm right there with you.
Oh, so you're into all inclusives, Clint?
I'm into what I can like swing on a budget. And
Dude, the thing is, like, I have this crazy idea of making JungleCon down here.
JungleCon,
that would be awesome.
Panama has like 9 different all-inclusive hotels.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
So making it there would be like a cavalcade of booze.
Oh God, yeah.
Never any cavalcade of booze, and girls from the Dominican Republic will be in charge of your massages. So.
Well, that'll be hot. That'll be awesome.
That all sounds good. I would love to come down to Panama.
Okay. The happy ever after or the happy endings.
Happy ending?
Yeah, when I lived in Corona, there was a reputable place where I'd go for massage, right? And then she was there was some kind of camera or something. And I said, "What's that about?" And she goes, "Well, there's cops now, and they're cruising around, and they're they kind of do these raids." And I go, "Why?" She goes, all these massage places that are around here, they're not like this one."
Oh.
And then I was like, "Oh shit!" And she goes, yeah. So.
And then Art said, "This will be the last time you ever see me."
Yeah, I just said, "Do you have that list?"
Like, what's the nearest one to here?
That the cops are checking out. And then she's talking about. I just want to throw this out there. Like, it's like, guys that get erections while they're getting massages, and I'm like, who are these people? Like, are you serious? Like, you can't control your erection.
Okay, so we have several of those establishments down here.
Yeah.
Club Miami, the Golden Time. We have.
Pedro's just listing them all off.
The Boca Toreña. Dude,
I've got a tourist map.
You guys will have fun. Yeah.
Just write it out. And we'll come to your JungleCon for sure.
Yeah.
JungleCon sounds awesome.
As a fly buzzes around me.
Yeah. And for those happy endings. So let me bring in Todd. I want to do long intros, but Pedro just talks so much.
I do.
I'm all for BoobCon, but I'm not going to MosquitoCon. So.
Yeah.
No mosquitoes.
Todd, well, we'll send you pictures, Todd. How about
that? Todd's not into.
Hey, have you guys seen that awesome piece that Rob Hunter did?
Of the robot of that,
the mech? Isn't that fantastic?
Yeah, it's freaking nuts.
The balance is so amazing. It's like perfect.
Yeah, Rob's not messing around.
I mean, does DC know when you let him slow down a little bit that he can kill it? You know what I mean?
I don't think DC really cares. I don't think DC can afford us anymore, to be honest. Not that we were getting paid a shitload. I was doing okay, but yeah, I don't think they could afford us now. So let's get everybody in here, man. I had all these long intros, but Sometimes they just take too long.
Yeah.
Speaking of like major talent, that new piece that Rob, maybe he'll share it with us later, for Death. What is it? Death Raid. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his book. Death Raider, right? And it looks fantastic. It looks absolutely fantastic. So you might know him as an inker, but this man is a storyteller, penciler as well. And Mr. Rob Hunter.
Hey, thank you very much, Todd. I really appreciate that. Yeah, see, I have now, my title is now deathraider.com. Just
Okay. Just to remind me, yeah.
Partly because I am so bad at pitching Death Raider that I just will like, if people see me live streaming, they're just like, oh, let me just type in Death Raider and read a description, since Rob is terrible with the pitch.
Yeah, so with the deathraider.com, with your name, you don't even have to pitch now. Like it does it all on its own right there.
Yeah, to be honest, I should just live stream 24/7 with just, an empty chair and just leave it, just running.
Yeah. It's kind of like those flyovers at the beach with the banners, and they'd have like, Quiznos 2-for-1 sale.
Oh, yeah.
That's all you need. Yeah. You
Now,
just need the banner.
When I was swimming towards the raft, towards the light, a shark got my leg.
Oh shit.
And then he got my arm.
Oh shit.
And then he got my other leg.
Oh,
and
shit.
then my other arm. So you can call me Bob.
God, I'm glad I made it back for that.
That's not just a dad joke. That's a grandfather joke.
Oh yeah.
All right, man. But we should have brought this guy in first. This guy is he's the backbone of the Pontificators. Without this man, we would not be here every week. Mr. Bob, comic, Bob, comic.
Y'all need Jesus.
No doubt.
You know what? What if I said I already found him and I'm still this horrible?
I need 2 legs and 2 arms. That's what I need.
Oh man.
Let's go, man.
Praise Jesus, they're back.
We've healed him. Comic Book Bob is the healing factor. Yeah.
Sweet baby Jesus is safe.
Sweet baby Jeebus.
Jeebus. Well, how have you been, baby Jeebus, miracle maker, Comic Book Bob?
I've been all right. Just waiting for the next time we could get in here, man. Y'all have been slacking.
Slacking? What?
Yeah, man. This is what, took 3 weeks for us to get back together. I know all you guys are professionals and you got work and stuff you got to do, but us fans are like, come on.
It has not been 3 weeks.
No,
it's been 2 weeks.
A week.
No, we skipped 2 weeks.
What is that? The finger of shame? What are you doing, Bob? What is that?
Someone
that's
was
not me.
busy.
And the finger of scorn. Yeah.
There's the finger, and then did you see Pedro's thumb coming out? Like
heads up too, Art. We got EVS in the chat. Everybody.
Yes, sir.
Hail EVS.
Yep.
We got a hail. We got a hail.
Mine is more like the stare of indifference.
Stare of indifference.
That's horrible.
That's horrible.
But
that's not pleasant. There are people like you and me.
No, they're not.
He refers to them as Caesars. They're not people.
Oh, look at this. Even on our show, people are insulting for Ethan.
People need to appreciate
Ethan's not fat. His toe thumbs just make it look like he is.
Dude, he's losing weight.
There's a term called barrel-chested for manly men who aren't starving themselves or wasting their time at the gymnasium. You're like, you're a strong, stout male.
Strapping,
old school CGers will know what I'm talking about with the toe thumb things. That's an ancient joke.
Yeah. And it's not too far from the truth. I'm sorry, Ethan.
Oh.
Yeah. But there's a thing called big bone. So I just think some of those some people are just big bone.
Big bone and big meat wrapped around it.
Holy shit.
All right. When speaking of whether DC could ask us or try to keep us, did they actually ask you to stay? Or did you say, hey, I'm out of here, or did you actually have to say no to anything, or?
I was on Super Sons, so I was on a really good selling book at the time. So I was still kind of top of the charts there, and I just told him I was going to leave. I gave him my notice, and there was no drama. There was no nothing. Yeah,
that was fortuitous because Brian Michael Bendis came in right behind you and killed it.
Well, he was already coming in while I was doing it, and because we were doing the actual Super Sons book, and that got canceled, and then they gave us, Pete Tomasi, Carlo Barberi, and myself. They gave us like a mini series of 6 issues, and we were halfway through that run. And the only thing I felt bad about leaving is I wanted to finish the run. Because Carlo's he's a joy to work with. Pete is probably one of the most underrated comic book writers in the business. And
it kind of seemed like when Bendis came in, it kind of eviscerated all the stuff that Pete had been setting up for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can't explore the sexuality of an 11-year-old.
Hey, Chris, I am so sorry. There's a main a line underneath everything, and then there's another one under it, and it crops out of my frame of my my monitor, so I didn't see you.
Yeah.
See, when Chris smiles like that, that means he's gonna freaking choke you out. In your
no respect.
Wasn't he gonna have to choke a bitch?
Breaking into a pocket knife under the screen.
Ooh, nice.
I apologize, my friend.
It's gonna work, Art. He's coming for you.
He is coming for me. Yes. Oh my gosh, do we have a show to do?
I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, everybody's digging the fact that Ethan Van Sciver is or was in the chat. We probably scared him off already. Wait, what is this? I am so sorry. I'm old, Art. Oh no, come on. Oh. Never apologize for your age.
If we have to be sorry because we're old, we're all screwed.
Yeah.
Hey, getting old is a privilege that is denied to many.
Yeah.
You know what? I wish I was mentally. I wish I was like this when I was in my early 20s, because I don't take any shit now. Like if somebody says stuff to me, I'm just like, screw you.
Shit, dude. Does Rob have a signed Captain Tennille hat behind him?
What?
Is that a framed Captain and Tennille hat?
Is that you, Rob? There's like a
Rob, yeah.
Like a cap. He looks
behind you.
I don't think it's a captain's hat.
I don't think it's Captain
right here.
Tennille, though.
Wait.
Yeah, right over your left.
Your other left. Your other left.
Your other left.
No, he was right.
He was right.
Right here.
That thing, yeah.
It's a pillow.
No, it's a cat bed.
Oh.
Yeah, but nobody, none of
Same
the
thing.
people sit in it because I think it still smells like another
like ass.
No, it smells like another cat. I think still. So
I love that Todd read so much into that he thought it was an actual official captain in Tennille
I could see it.
I mean, not just a generic captain's hat, but like an actual captain in Tennille hat. That says more about Todd than it does about Bob.
Well, I was born in the 70s, but I hate most 70s. I'd say I hate all 70s music. I hate most 70s stuff. Like I like $6 Million Man and Star Trek and stuff, but otherwise, all that other stuff.
The Bee Gees?
You hit the off one?
Hey,
yeah,
bro,
I hate all of it.
With the huge teeth?
Art, no.
Let me tell you something. Look up 50 Cent Bee Gees mashup.
Well,
it's one of the coolest damn things you're ever going to hear.
A lot of mashups are actually pretty cool because somebody's taking...
it's beat for beat for beat. It perfectly fits. It's one of the craziest things. But
the Bee Gees were good. The Bee Gees were good before disco. Let's just say.
Yeah, sure they were.
I went out on a limb there.
Brothers.
I like that Rob's like, I hate everything 70s. Like there was some great like rock music. I don't like pop music. I was never like a really commercial pop guy, but there was a lot of great like rock and stuff from the 70s.
Yeah.
No Led Zeppelin?
No.
Oh,
what?
I mean, a little band called Kiss?
Uriah Heep?
No, not really.
Aerosmith.
It all sounds old.
Favorite song is one of the greatest songs.
Saxon.
Ooh, Saxon. Yeah.
John Denver?
John,
John
Oh my
Denver.
God.
John
He's
Denver.
the
Come on,
epitome of
country
Denver.
roads.
Him
Yeah.
and Bee Gees, just put them
Judas-
both together. On
Judas Priest.
I have
pedestal.
terrible taste in music.
Yeah.
Just to let
Breaking the
everybody
law,
know.
breaking the law.
Wait,
Oh,
wait.
you're
What,
being
what about the
serious?
David Soul single?
The David Soul. Oh my God!
Okay,
I haven't
now
heard
you
that
guys are
name in
just
a
getting
while.
into freaking gay territory.
Yeah, dude, that's-
Come on, Starsky and Hutch. You gotta,
Wait, who?
Come on.
Oh, Starsky and Hutch was
you
awesome.
gotta monetize your celebrity.
Wait. Okay, David Soul. Who was the one? Was it like "Don't Give Up on Us, Baby"? Was that David Soul?
That
It
might
was
be Josh-
Carbon dating
Josh
herself
Travolta had
so
some-
Are you
hard.
talking about like when celebrities would do freaking albums? And it
Yeah,
was
they
like
do
Yeah.
albums.
the creepiest
Oh, yeah.
shit you ever saw in your life.
Yeah, but David
Like
Soul
when
had
Shatner did
moderate
that
hits.
album when he was sitting down on a stool talk singing. He
Yeah,
did like,
but
well,
that-
he did like
No, I think he plays
Major
guitar and
Tom.
everything. David Soul.
Yeah,
Ugh.
David Soul. Ugh. I don't know.
David
So
has
who's
some
David
soul.
All right,
Soul?
who's got it? Who's gonna look it up?
Is he Starsky or Hutch?
He's
Hutch.
he's Hutch.
Hutch. Yeah.
He's the one that had the hair, right? One of them
Yeah.
got like a Jew
Oh,
fro.
they both.
Oh,
they
that was
both had
Starsky.
hair.
No, that Starsky's the one that had the Jufro, and he's also the guy who owned the car. And Hutch,
Okay.
Hutch hated the
Okay.
car.
Paul
Hutch was
Michael
the blonde
Glazer.
guy. Then,
Hutch is
right?
the blonde guy. He's the guy that was in Salem's Lot.
Okay.
The-
So they're kind of like those two are kind of like Hall and Oates. Like there's one really talented one who's the blonde guy, and then the dark-haired one with the like cool hair.
No, the
Not so
dude, Paul Michael Glazer went on to direct a lot of stuff. I think
Yeah, but he
did-
wasn't. Let's face it.
Well,
It,
That's
it was
when-
all the
that's when
car.
they
Like
put
if
you
he didn't
behind
have
the camera.
if he didn't have the car, we wouldn't have given a shit.
yeah.
No, the car was the star of that show.
Oh my God. The
I
car is the
wanted
star of
both.
half of those friggin' shows, man.
I wanted that car, man. Like, man, you can't get kids today to even get their driver's license. I couldn't get a car quick enough when I was a kid.
Okay. Best car show. Best car from a 70s or 80s show.
Oh, geez. There we
General
go.
Lee, baby.
That
Go
seems
Red Tomato.
racist and wrong.
No way.
How dare you?
Yeah.
I got to go with Kit. He's indestructible.
I don't know, man.
Who?
The coyote from Hardcastle and McCormick.
Yeah.
Kid car.
Hardcastle and McCormick. Deep
Yeah.
dig.
Oh,
Dude, that car was dope though, man.
You know, I wanted the A Team rape van.
Mm.
Oh my
Of
God.
course, Art did.
It is when it said Vance and Coy Duke. The substitute Duke years.
He just pulls up in that van with a creepy smile.
Wow. Hey, kids.
Hey,
Want to go to McDonald's?
want some candy? I got some gold chains in here for you.
Oh.
Wait.
No,
Wait.
not the ones around my neck. These right here.
We
Oh, yeah.
actually
Magnum's
we
Ferrari. I'll take Magnum's Ferrari any day of the week.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking too. But we might have like two shows that were like the same show. So there was Dukes of Hazzard, and then there was Starsky and Hutch, right? They
They're
kinda
nothing
had this-
alike.
Starsky
They're
and Hutch
doing
is
nothing.
Dukes that has
They-
it.
No,
No.
there are a lot of
Starsky
like
and
they have
Hutch
a
had a-
car. No, they had a cool car.
Yeah.
One was dark haired, one was blonde,
Blonde.
and they were both about this. Like the actors were interchangeable. Like you could have just went back.
No, dude.
But
no.
who was the Daisy Duke and Starsky and Hutch?
Starsky and Hutch had a pimp.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, the
Huggy
Dukes of
Bear.
Hazzard
Bear.
had a mechanic and a
Yeah.
hooker sister. So it's
Yeah.
Wow.
I guess
hold on to-
it's kind of the same.
yeah. Hold on to that, Bob.
I used to the pimp Tonio Fargas. I used to read him. I used to work at an answering service, and I used to read him his messages every morning.
He used to get Chris's
God,
ladies.
how old are you?
Huh? Pretty old.
Pretty old.
Like, damn, dude.
he just drinks from the Lazarus pit.
I used to be
I
part
know.
of a messaging service.
Oh shit! What is this? Did the Charlie's Angels?
Oh,
did
the
they have a
72
car?
Cobra. Yeah, it was all right.
They didn't have a
Ooh.
car.
Yeah, Farrah had a good.
Yeah, Farrah had a Mustang of some site.
Yeah.
Didn't she? Yeah.
Right.
Dude,
Blue.
BJ and the Bear. Damn.
How dare
Oh,
you?
the semi.
Oh, the semi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
The '60s were actually better because they had the custom cars. Then they had like the
Rockford's Trans
Monkey
Am.
Mobile. They had the Monkey Mobile. They had the Batmobile. They had like
Mhm.
the
The
Black
Batmobile was
Green
dope.
Hornet.
Yeah.
dude.
The Chitty Bang Bang car. Like there was all kinds of shit coming out of the
Chitty
60s.
Chitty Bang
Dude,
Bang.
dude, we're
Chitty
talking
Chitty
about
Bang Bang.
we're
Not
talking
Chitty
about
Bang.
the Batmobile.
No
and
Chitty
you bring
Bang.
Chitty Bang Bang.
Yeah, Chitty Bang is like a cheap hooker. That's just like
Yeah,
Oh.
Herbie the Love Bug.
Oh yeah,
The
that was
Love Bug.
Herbie from
Oh,
the
yeah,
60s.
Herbie.
The Love Bug.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
remember his
This-
number?
Yeah, this-
69.
69.
No, wasn't it 56 or something?
It's
This,
53.
there's a replica of that
56. This
car.
wasn't 69.
53.
Oh, how about the
Great.
Firebird from Rockford Files?
That's
Yeah.
a good car. Yeah.
You know,
Was
the
it
Rockford
a
Files
Firebird?
was a really great show. It was better than it had a right to be being on TV.
Oh,
That was a great show. I remember there was one. I mean, it kind of taught you how to fight, but like not in a fair way. So there's like these three guys, and they're out in the lobby or whatever, this hotel or wherever it was, and they're like going to kick Rockford's ass, right? So he runs in the bathroom real quick, and he gets the dispenser soap, and he throws it out on the floor. So when they rush in, they're going to slip. And then I forget what he does with his belt. Like he does something with this, like he beats them up basically with the stuff that's in the public restroom. And then he ends up tying them up with their own belts and stuff like that. I was like, oh my
That's
gosh,
humiliating.
he didn't throw a single punch.
Hey, Art.
What?
Hyrule says you should be riding around the wagon from Little House on the Prairie.
Oh,
That-
we could put one of those little hats on them.
that's not amazing. The little Quaker hats.
Yeah. the
Oh
girl
shit!
hats.
Wait. There was the Munsters. They had the
Yeah.
Munsters coach,
Yep.
and then
Yeah.
they had the Munsters. What was it called? The
Grandpa's car, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
but-
Dragula.
Yeah.
Dragula. Yeah, the Dragula.
Dragula. Yeah, they made Rob Zombie made a song about it.
What's his name? The guy, the actor that plays Eddie Munster. I think he owns those now.
Butch. I think he died
Patrick.
recently, didn't he? Butch Patrick.
No, that's an urban legend. Yeah. But yeah, I've done a few shows with that guy, and I actually got to drive in the coach.
Nice.
God.
Really?
Wow.
I think it was his
Wow.
daughter. Like it's like kind of a family affair because he owns them, so he takes the shows with him. So they have like these trailers and stuff, and so yeah, his daughter fired that thing up. They asked if I wanted to jump in. We're just like doing donuts in the little back
Nice.
parking lot.
Did
Yeah,
you
that's
smoke
pretty
the
cool.
tires?
He smoked. Yeah, she did. She drove it. Yeah, she smoked the tires. Yeah, it was
Nice.
pretty cool, man.
That
was
is awesome.
What was the car that the Green Hornet had?
Oh,
The
that-
Black
the
Beauty?
black car.
Yeah, the big black car.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember what kind of car it was. That car was pretty badass.
Was that the
I think
60s?
Art has the toy.
It's a Chrysler. It's a what was it? Impala or Imperial? I think. The
Yeah.
Chrysler Imperial.
Impala.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
I never saw the Green Hornet.
Oh, it was good.
My dad loved
What?
that show. That's actually one of the first superhero things I was ever introduced to when I was a kid.
Dude,
My dad would
Kato
watch
was the shit.
Katie was the shit, man.
Yeah.
That's
There
how
was
I got
this
into Bruce Lee movies because of that.
There was a scene he comes in and there's too much light and they wanted to kind of fight, like use the element of the darkness. And I think it was also to intimidate the guy. And Bruce Lee jumps up and there's one of those hanging, like those industrial
Oh,
lights.
yeah.
And he
Yeah.
kicks the light out, like just jumps
Yeah.
straight up and kicks the light out.
They showed that in his biography.
Yeah,
They
in
showed
that movie
by
Dragon,
the-
the Bruce Lee story. Yeah, they showed him doing
Yeah.
that, and it was like they were freaking out, like we don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that. That was the only time I've ever saw any Green Hornet stuff was that snippet of him.
Yeah. and
Supposedly
I-
he did that at his audition, like when he went to go like for casting. He just did it in the
Oh.
office. That's probably how it wound up in the.
Wow.
Yes, look what this guy can do. Yeah, and it's just going to cost us a light bulb. So let's let him do it. Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
was that true that he created Kung Fu?
Yes.
Ripped off his idea. And,
Not kung fu,
Stuck a
but
white guy
his
in for
version
him?
of it.
His
Like,
version of it.
Yeah, he
because
had
was
his
gonna-
own. He has his
He
own
was supposed to star in it.
specific.
Yeah,
He created his own specific derivation, and like I can't remember the technical names for it,
Yeah.
but there's different types of.
who
No.
knows?
Indian
They're talking
martial
about the
arts.
TV show Kung Fu.
yeah. Not the
Oh.
martial art, the TV show.
not the martial art he created. The GQ.
Yeah.
No.
They're
The
talking
TV
about.
show.
Well,
The TV
He
show.
was supposed to be spun off for Kung Fu, and then they went with David Carradine because they
Carradine,
didn't
yeah.
think
Yeah.
they could go
Yeah,
with
but it
an
was his
Asian
idea.
lead.
Which
was
probably ended up being.
Oh
the
yeah,
best thing
that was
for
his
him.
idea. Yep.
Yeah.
Which
Sorry,
in-
Rob, I
in-
misunderstood.
In hindsight, was probably the best thing for him because that's what ended up him going back to Hong Kong
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
becoming this huge Hong Kong star, and then that just took off.
Yeah, dude.
Mhm.
Yeah, but
But
think
you-
about
you
it.
only
If
did, like,
you
He would have
could-
made those movies.
yeah,
he did
but-
like 3 movies in Hong Kong before he
Nah,
died.
I think he would have done both. Like I mean, if you got to see Bruce Lee in that Kung Fu TV series every week, man. I mean, I got a
Would have been-
snippet of it on Green
Yeah.
Hornet, but if because that thing ran series like years, because I think Green Hornet only ran one season.
One season.
But like Kung Fu ran multiple seasons, so you would have got to see Bruce Lee for like 3-4 years. That would have been freaking
I watched
crazy.
Kung Fu religiously, and fucking David Carradine didn't do anything in it. It's just like
no, he just walked around.
It was all that slow-mo thing.
Did you imagine if fucking Bruce Lee was in it every week?
Yeah, dude, you want to know what? My grandmother watched that show. You want to know why she watched the show? Because 90% of the time he was just walking around in nature.
Yeah.
And it was all this nature scenery. And she was like, I like that. And she didn't give a crap about anything else. It's like, this is my nature show.
I got news for your grandmother. It was just the backlot at Universal Studios.
It was the outback to her. So
it's like when you hear the Andy Griffith show, you know, they go to the watering hole. It was just basically what do they call those? Like flood control. It was just like flood control. Yeah, you know, it was nothing big. It was like this really small little, you know, like flood control area. And they just went and shot the opening.
That's back when Hollywood knew how to stay on a budget.
Yeah.
We'll just shoot the show out in the front yard.
Kung Fu only ran for 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's it. I thought it ran for longer than that.
Dude,
but when you think about it,
syndication and reruns, and then that's why they look like they lasted forever. But yeah, they were short.
Yeah, but 3 seasons is quite a bit of time.
It's a lot of episodes compared to now. Yeah,
because I think they also did like close to 30 episodes. I think.
I think it was 26.
62 episodes total.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they were doing 21 apiece then.
But shows like Twilight Zone, some of those seasons are like fucking 38 episodes in 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
And 75% written by Serling himself. It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, I think maybe I was thinking of the Batman show because that thing ran twice a week, didn't it, for a while?
The Adam West Batman?
They had less reruns, Art, so it might might not have been on twice a week, but
they had a lot of episodes.
Although I saw a thing with the older shows, they would do 30-some, 40-some episodes a year, and then they just every few years they would chop and make it because it was cheaper. You know, you just less and less investment ahead.
Well, I'll put it this way: it says it only ran for 3 seasons, but it had 120 episodes.
Wow!
Damn.
So that's like 40 episodes a season.
Yeah, that's wild.
That's a long freaking season, man.
That'll get you in syndication.
Oh, I've seen these guys. These guys are badass.
Yeah.
That car guy on YouTube made a functional 66 Batmobile. It's pretty nuts. I've done conventions where they had like replicas, like some guy in the backyard made this like badass looking.
Dude, did you ever see that guy?
There's a company.
Oh, that'd be cool.
You know, there's a similar thing for like those what is it, R2D2 units, but those guys pride themselves on building it themselves. So I think they sell individual parts. You can't get one assembled.
No, what it is there are certain, like if you want to make an actual like absolutely identical to the movie version R2D2, there are certain parts like they use parts that came off of like cars and stuff that they don't make anymore. So what they've done is they've created this community, these people that build them, and they actually part out those parts and make those and say, you can come and get those parts here. Because I actually, I was at a convention, I was talking to these 2 guys that made them. Those guys are so good at making those things now that in the last Star Wars trilogy, they actually went to them and had them make the friggin' droids for them.
They also controlled them, I think.
Yeah. Well, the thing is like, because in the original movies, like it had each droid, they had like 20 different versions of R2D2. Each one did something different. These guys made one that did everything. So then J.J. Abrams was like, screw that. I'm just going to have them make it for me.
Yeah, take that, George Lucas.
Yeah. Because the one that they had, they were showing off at the show that I was at, man, this thing like literally it had played music out of it.
Yeah, I was at a show and they I guess because you can they're hollow inside, so they were giving like little kids rides in the damn thing around the car.
Dude, they were like the one
little kids. Yeah.
The one that the guy had, like it had like all the little parts that would pop up, all the little compartments that would open up,
arms and stuff,
all the arms and stuff. Yeah. He had the thing like it would shoot the lightsaber out of the top of his head, and just like he's like to make him do that stuff, like you have to like really compact all that stuff in there. And he was like, the guy I talked to, like he was the first person to make because the BB-8 was the new droid that came out in the new series. He was the first person to make an actual working BB-8. because it's a round ball like that, and the head's on top. It was like
it's a magnet or something, right?
Yeah.
So the magnet
It's-
stays
it's got
stationary
got
in the
a
ball, and
it's
then
got
it holds the head.
it's got an arm inside the body that has a magnet on it, and then
Yeah,
it has
yeah.
but then the head has to sit on rollers because it has to be able to move independently.
But the reason it stays there and is able to roll or stay put, and the ball can roll.
But
is
where
that it's
does
all
the little
magnets.
person go in there?
They just pull the soul out these days.
No,
man.
they
Yeah.
just use
Well,
hamsters. It's all
No little
hamsters.
person, not getting my money.
No, just, just
Stealing,
they use
stealing
they use some-
union jobs.
Didn't you watch the Grammys, man? They use Satanism and magic, and they pull the soul out and stick it in the robot. And it only lasts for a few months, and then he just
Well,
Right,
let's speaking of soulless and companies, Clint, what do you have on Disney?
Oh,
Sure,
jeez.
let me
What do you
pull
have
this up.
new on Disney? You mean?
Yeah, what's happening now?
There's a bit of a rift going on. Hey,
Yeah, I
hey,
heard.
Bob, take over for a minute. I've been drinking too much. I got to go use the restroom.
All right, but then I'm going to need you to share this article.
Yeah, before you go,
Okay,
share it.
before I go, do you have it there? Where is it?
Yeah, let me pull it up right here.
Okay.
Me and Wartooth are over here. We're like casting the prequel to the House of a Thousand Corpses. It's got Bill Maher and played Dr. Satan.
There's a character called.
Okay, there it is,
Satan.
You've never
All
seen that movie before, man?
No.
Oh my God. 7,000 jobs. Woo.
7,000 jobs, and that probably includes Marvel
I'm gonna tell you.
because they're going to spread that stuff out around, I would imagine. But
No, I kept telling everybody that they were in like they're in like serious financial deficit right now, and they're no, they're not. They're Disney. They got blah 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 and all this. It's like, no, dude, they're in trouble, man.
I don't think they can cut Marvel guys. I mean,
But
I've heard writers complain about that. They can't even get a hold of editors.
Yeah, but it's been used to this shit that they've been losing money. WB, fucking all these people that are, doubling down time after time after time on all this shit that tanks and doesn't make money. I mean, what the fuck? Yeah, when you have Warner Brothers and Disney claiming that they're broke, fucking make something that people want to see. And Jesus.
Exactly. And one of the other articles, and I can pull it up later, is that Iger said we are going to have to go back to the old until we can prove that the new can make money. So they're even starting to admit, like, all this stuff we're trying to shove down people's throats with the ideology and the wokeness, until we can prove that it makes money, we're going to have to go back to the old well of stuff. Twist my arm and make stuff that people actually want to see.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
it's this incredibly arrogant sensibility that they have, that they can like shove crap down your throat and make you want to pay money for it. And it's like, I don't get where that arrogance comes from.
Yeah. Well, there's two things, like two thoughts. One, like there was that Bob Chapek that got fired, and one of the main reasons they said is because he was going to fire a bunch of people, right? And so that guy gets ousted for seemingly trying to right the ship, right? Because there was also the thing before the big fallout with Florida. Chapek was saying, we're not going to get political. Disney is not going to get political. Blah blah blah. And then the next thing, transgendered and the LGBTQ, saying you need to fight for us, whatever. And so then he pulls it all back and apologizes to him. And then, everything started falling apart right after that. And the thing is, it's like, when that guy says it, he gets crucified. But then Bob Iger comes in and says pretty much the same thing. And then what? Is he still loved? Like the Disney community loves this guy. And I don't know why they love Bob Iger. I mean, this is the guy that effed up everything to begin with. And then he pawned it off on Bob Chapek. That guy tried the best he could. And then they crucified him. And then Bob Iger, like, well, I'll come in and I'll fix it. Really? By letting, 7,000 employees go? Holy shit, dude.
I mean, this is a nightmare of his making. Like, he got Disney where it is now. And I think he has like 2 years to fix this up. Like, he's not there permanently. So I don't know, man. This is
I heard that there was some kind of like Like he had there was some kind of stipulation with him coming back.
Yeah, he has to find his successor. But the thing is, why would they even let that guy do that? Because Bob Chapek was brought in by Bob Iger. Like Bob Iger picked that guy, and then crucifies, that guy. I think what Bob Iger did, this is just personal, is he brought Chapek in right when the lockdowns happened and all that. And he wanted that guy just to be the fall guy, right? Like all the ill will and anger and everything would be directed at that guy, and then Iger could come back in a year or whatever, and then come in as the hero, and I'll save everything. Also, the reason they're having all these layoffs and stuff is that guy bought Fox. Like they haven't made really a dime off of Fox,
No,
not really.
Exactly.
And who bought Fox?
Iger.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of
they bought
CEOs.
Fox and they basically stuck it in their broom closet and did nothing with it.
Yeah,
it's like, why spend the money if you spend money to make money, and they've done nothing with any of that stuff.
Yeah,
That's what they've done. They've done one thing. They've done one thing with what they bought. They put Mr. Fantastic in the last Doctor Strange movie.
Well, he died.
Yeah, that
was
it. Dumb.
And then they pretty much murdered him in the worst of ways. Like they turned him in spaghetti, right?
Yeah.
And then his brain popped.
Right before COVID, more CEOs quit their jobs than ever in history. It's because they thought that COVID was going to hit and it was going to be a depression. So they are all like, "Where's my golden parachute? Let me get out of here."
Yeah.
And then Iger was like, it didn't turn out to be a depression. I want to come back. They're not admitting the big problem though, especially with like all the Marvel stuff. They've already burned through all the good Marvel stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they don't have any new Marvel stuff because would you like to write a story for Marvel and then watch it get turned into a $500 million or $1 billion movie? And here's your check for $26,000 if you're lucky. Only if the movie uses the character's name as the title.
They got a ton of stuff they could use. They just don't want to use it. They want to do all this woke shit.
I mean,
in the Fox acquisition, they got the Fantastic Four and they got X-Men. But was it worth however many billions they paid for the damn thing?
Yeah, remember we did a whole hour on how to restructure it and bring it back and put it all together. But they're not going to do it, dude.
they're going to do Spider-Man on wheels.
I have a kid that's like Disney age who loves. She grew up on that shit. She loves all that traditional Disney stuff, right? And like this summer, she went to a birthday party in a movie theater where they were playing that last flick. It was the gay one. I can't remember what it was called. It was like the one for kids, but what was the last Disney movie that they just put out this summer?
The Strange Worlds or whatever.
Yeah, I think that was it. So she came back. I asked her how it is. How the movie was. The very first time in her life I ever heard her say it sucked so bad. It's like she never said that word. She's never used the word sucked ever, as if that's the first time. And apparently every kid at the party, they all thought it was just unwatchable. And so it's not like, it's not like, right wingers. The kids don't even want to see it. They're like, this is garbage.
Hey, kids are right wingers too.
It's just like with the new Velma TV series. Even the friggin' even the leftists are like, this is absolute garbage.
Yeah, I'm just gonna watch it. It's just
they're doing like the Proud Family thing on Disney. It's like we hate white people. It's just like, dude.
Yeah. What you saying, Todd?
This look. Never in my life was I a kid going, "Oh, I hope someday I want to see Velma and Daphne naked and do a shower scene." It's in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah. And they're supposed to be like 15, 16 years old.
It's so straight. Like this is like.
Well, I have to say one thing. It's weird when you sexualize a cartoon. Period. Especially a cartoon show that is children or was traditionally a child's show. I just think that's really weird, and it's weird branding because you have a brand that's Scooby-Doo or whatever. Like Disney had a brand which was like the Walt Disney, it was family entertainment. It was kind of middle America family, conservative value kind of thing. And so then, this new brand of entertainers comes in and has utter contempt for any of those things and decides that they're going to rebrand all this stuff with smut. like I like you said, I've never heard any little kid going, you know, a shower scene between these two characters would be great. You know, what if,
like,
you know, what
never
if
dawned on me ever to ever think like, oh, they're so hot, I want to see them naked. Never.
We should ask the expert.
Dad, it's the
Comes back.
It's a Jetson 40 episode. Let's watch it. Like,
And this is something else that this is something I don't understand. I think it's part of it because like they think these characters are problematic. Some of them. What the hell is it with all these shows about characters that don't have the character? Like these, we got like 2 new Batman TV shows and movies without Batman.
Yeah,
dude,
You know, and now we got Scooby Doo without Scooby Doo.
Yeah,
And it's like, what's next? It's like this is just stupid.
it's a Warner Brothers thing because I don't know, maybe Chris or whoever is like, maybe Rob was like last to leave DC, but DC used to compartmentalize things. Like they'd go like this editor or this art director had like the Batman family, and this art director editor had Superman and so forth. And so if you wanted to use Batman, you had to get it okayed by the people that were in charge of Batman. And I have a feeling that Warner Brothers as a studio had similar things where it was very territorial. So, you know, you have a show like, I don't know, Birds of Prey, and it starts off with like, you know, Batman's in the pilot episode, and then that's the best part of the show. And then they take Batman out of it and they just, you know, it's just the girls that are boring as shit, you know.
yeah,
I was just talking to Chuck about that today, quickly, because actually I can't talk about that.
Oops.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Yes, sir. It's something else.
Teaser for far down the road.
DC, it's the next thing I'm doing. The DC, but you know, it got worse than that after that because and segmenting, you know, the families like, oh, we got Carlin in charge of Superman, and you know, I mean, that makes sense to me to say, okay, you're in charge of like this brand, and there's a Green Lantern office or whatever. But they got to the point where in the 90s that they were doing everything by committee, when they basically had a giant editorial meeting and everyone discussed everything. And it's like, oh, you know, I want to hire this guy. Does everybody feel okay about that? And you know, and that's when things just fucking went to shit. You know, I mean, that, you know, they were already got to shit at that point because I think we were hitting that crash. But, you know, I mean, that's not the answer to, you know.
Well, I remember Mark Waid and Mike Carlin going at it. Like, I think Waid had Legion, and for some reason, like, he could do Legion, but he couldn't use Superboy unless he had the permission of Mike Carlin. And so, you know, there were some heated debates. I remember being in Wade's office and just those two just going at it, you know. So there was a little bit of like you become territorial, and so also, you know, like human nature, you get a little bit of power and you start kind of being petty with it. So I did see that as maybe a potential problem. I don't really know because wasn't.
Though I could see like, oh, you know, can we use Spider-Man this month? And you're like, no, Spider-Man's in the Savage Land. You know, you can't do it. But, you know, Superboy is something I think they would give a pass to in the Legion because it's in the future.
Yeah.
And I can't even think of an instance of Mike. Yeah, I could ask him. I may be wrong, but I don't remember Mike using Superboy for anything.
DC was still that.
A lot of those
DC
debates got petty. I mean,
yeah. We when Bagley and I were doing Justice League, they pulled Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman out of the Justice League, and we got all the characters the writer didn't give a you know, like the writer's like, he didn't want to research anything, and he didn't want to have to try, you know, he didn't want to negotiate who he would get, so he picked a bunch of shit old DC characters nobody cared about.
Yeah.
But you know, Batman was supposed to be dead, so I can understand you can't use Batman.
Yeah,
but
because they were using Dick Grayson, right?
yeah, but Superman can't be in two places at once, really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially when that was the
right.
promise that got Mark Bagley to come to DC.
Yeah.
Was that he was going to work on Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, and you stick him on Justice League and you don't let him use any of those characters.
Low rent Justice League. Like,
Yeah.
Every 5
Justice
years
League
there was
Detroit.
the low rent Justice League.
Yeah.
Dude, that's what I called it. I told Bagley, I said, dude, I go, do you realize we are on our Justice League is as bad as Justice League Detroit? And he got really quiet on the phone, like, dude, you have to say, why would you bring that up to me?
Yeah,
It was so bad. Congarilla and Vixen, like all the throwaway characters. Nobody.
At least Keith Giffen like took it as a challenge as a writer. You know, like he took the low rent Justice League and made it into something special.
But the one thing about his Justice League, there was always Batman. You know, like if
Yeah.
you have Batman in the team,
Yeah.
then you can kind of anchor things.
But like literally, it would be like Batman walking in for like 2 or 3 panels, looking at what was going on, shaking his head and leaving.
And then
wasn't
leaving, yeah.
like
But,
what was
but that made the story more relevant because at least Batman was like judging them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the worst Justice League lineup I think I ever remember was Ice, Fire, Booster Gold,
Yeah.
Blue Beetle, which I actually like Blue Beetle, but Blue
Justice
Beetle.
League Detroit's got that.
You remember
lineup
when
beat.
for some reason Martian Manhunter took on a new identity, called himself Bloodwind?
Yeah.
Oh,
Is that where he's red?
That was when he had the white suit and he had like the red
he turned
diamond
into
in
a
the middle.
black
He turned into a
superhero
black guy,
character.
yeah.
It was a cool character design. That was Dan Jurgens.
Yeah, but it was just like, why aren't you just being John?
You
Honestly,
still
I
can't
think
beat- you
I
can't
think
beat,
that
you can't
character-
beat Steel, Gypsy, Vixen. You can't beat Justice League Detroit. That's
Oh,
the worst.
my God.
That's the worst Justice League lineup.
The thing
of all
is,
time.
at that point, don't they just become like collateral damage? Like when you have characters like that, they're just cannon fodder, right? They're just going to go down like relatively quick.
Justice League Detroit.
Yeah,
They should have. Could you imagine?
Aquaman was the
Carnage.
leader.
You could
Was
kill them all off. And
Yeah,
have-
then it becomes Suicide Squad. Like
Dude.
when you have all those,
Despero killed a bunch of them off in the Keith Giffen run. He
Yeah,
killed Steel. He
Yeah.
almost killed Gypsy. But yeah, that was a great storyline.
That's like-
that was-
Adam Hughes artwork.
That's
what
almost
was
like
the
the
Hispanic guy that wore the visor? Like he wore these.
Vibe.
Vibe. Who had
Vibe.
Like
the,
all
the,
those
the,
characters.
the new character that they tried to make to like everybody tried to make everybody like, and he ended up just like
They
it was
all
like, this is-
deserve to die.
And then they put him.
It
Then
did fill
they
out
put him on the freaking Flash TV show, and they're like, he's so popular. He was such a big deal back then. I was like, no, he wasn't.
Like I said, like these
Wanna
these
completely
characters,
shit
like
on
they're
it because-
turning Justice League into Suicide Squad, right? Like you have
Kind
Gypsy,
of.
you have Vibe, you have Blue Beetle, you have Booster Gold, you have these characters. It's like, at that point, you may as well just like they're just gonna die, right?
Well, and now Dan
Regal's got
Jurgens has got to be pretty stoked with the history he's had at DC, and now
Oh,
Booster
God.
Gold's getting made into a TV HBO Max TV
Justice
show.
League shitberg.
So like that's like a long time payoff for him.
Yeah, Justice
Hey,
League
maybe-
Dude, that's like that's almost like remember the Great Lakes Avengers?
Yeah.
Oh my God, the one dude who could like basically turn into a statue.
Well, you know what actually worked, and it was because of John Byrne, as they did the West Coast Avengers, and that
Yeah.
was pretty cool.
That
I
was
thought.
well, that's
Yeah,
because they
but
actually had
John
big,
Byrne-
they had heavy hitters on there.
Yeah.
John Byrne still had some heat to his name at that point, so it was, but with the Justice League Detroit, you had, that was kind of so bad that it gave the relaunch a big lift because when they did the reboot with McGuire and fucking they had some of the main characters back, they had a new artist and everything, and that just seemed like, oh my God, this is like $1 million book relative to what it had been.
Yeah.
So somebody else gets all the
that flew.
I have to read this out loud because it's hilarious.
This is awesome.
This is how comics did the Justice League Detroit loot a Target.
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah.
Vibes
No,
out.
actually, they had a fist fight.
Yeah,
They
Squirrel Girl
confused
was
the
their
target.
heavy hitter. Yeah,
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
dude, yeah, man,
The thing is,
making
like
such a shit character like that and actually
Yeah.
making it one of their A-list characters is just like really.
I'm an original Justice League fan. Like I love the original lineup, and the original lineup did not have Superman and Batman in the lineup.
They just
And-
showed up
and-
every once in a while.
Yeah, and I thought that was pretty cool. So it was you have Martian Manhunter, who's kind of like Superman. You have Wonder Woman, who's kind of as strong as Superman. You have Aquaman, which is kick ass. You have the Flash. You have Green Lantern. That's a pretty powerful team right there. And if you don't bring Superman into it, you don't bring Batman into it, all those characters can shine. It's easy to write. Like all those characters, their powers don't necessarily overlap. They're all very powerful that can stand, toe to toe with each other. And all that. And I just thought, well, that's the perfect team. you know, and then you like what ends up happening when you bring Superman or like really powerful characters outside of that, then you have to diminish the importance of all those characters. You know, like Wonder Woman can't be as strong. You know, Martian Manhunter can't really kick ass because he's redundant. You know, when you have Superman and you know, all of this stuff. And I don't know, man, make it an interesting team. Like you could even throw the Atom in there. Like I always thought the Atom was really underrated because, you know, that's a pretty powerful character if you think about it, because you know, he can shrink to a molecule, man. He can climb around your bloodstream and just kind of pinch off some arteries and knock you out without you even knowing it. You know, they just never use that character. Cool. And I thought what would have been a cool visual is, you know how like the Flash can kind of changes molecules and vibrate through solid objects. Well, if the Atom shrunk down small enough, there's nothing that could stop him. He could walk through solid objects like no problem.
He went into the microverse, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
isn't that what they did on Justice League?
Together.
I mean, did they do that with?
Hang on.
They'd have that giant cast, and they would just pick like 4 characters to go on a mission. Did they? Wasn't there a time period?
Yeah, they used to do that. They would like send guys on like on away teams. You know.
Yeah. So you just pick 4 of them.
That's a great way to handle it. You know, like
that's a great way to handle.
That's what they did in the animated series.
Yeah. And
does anybody remember when Batman turned into a werewolf on the satellite?
I remember when Captain America turned into a werewolf.
That was awesome.
But
so now
but you know, like go ahead.
The Justice League is just going to get together, and every issue they're just going to, you know, debate if they should actually like fight crime because it's reparations, and they'll just stand there.
Did anybody read the Brad Meltzer? Did you?
The one with Red Tornado.
Yeah, and it's like okay, Brad Meltzer's a brilliant writer, right? Yeah. Like political intrigue and stuff like that, novelist. He comes into the Justice League and just forgets that these are all like men of action and they're visual characters. And so they're just kind of standing around the Justice League headquarters and just talking about shit. And I'm like,
Red Tornado staring at Vixen's ass.
Are we talking about Identity Crisis?
No.
Is that what it was called?
No. I think he did Identity Crisis.
He did that, yeah.
He did.
Did he get
I can't remember. The first one he did was Ed Bennis was doing the art on it.
Oh, the relaunch, right?
The relaunch, and it was when it's when what was it? Red Tornado was basically turned back into a human being.
Oh yeah.
And Solomon Grundy, the latest incarnation of him, was actually intelligent, and he wanted to use his body so that he wouldn't keep reincarnating, so he wouldn't lose his intelligence. He didn't want to lose what he had just gained.
And some of these are cool, like interesting intellectual ideas. They're just not visual.
It wasn't done very well when he put it together. But see, that's why I always liked like the whole thing with Superman. Is like, because Superman could basically take the friggin' Justice League by himself.
Yeah.
That's why I like the Tower of Babel storyline.
Well,
where they use Batman's contingency plans to take everybody out. And then he's like, you know, and then there's that thing where it's like, well, then how come you didn't have a contingency plan for yourself? He said, there's already a contingency plan for me. It's called the Justice League. So it's kind of like they showed how everybody, you know, like they're all kind of on the same level in different ways. You know what I mean? So it wasn't anymore like Superman's better than everybody. Well, no, he's not.
Yeah.
Even though he is.
What we were speaking about earlier, it's an example of when you bring writers in from different genres or different types of writing. Like comic books is a whole different kind of writing. Like when you're bringing a novelist in, or even a TV show guy or a movie guy, like first of all, the number one, a character only does one thing per panel. Okay.
Yeah.
Like certain writers, we probably have all seen scripts by writers from outside the comic book industry, and they don't understand how comic books work right away. And it kind of like
lots of really great novelists have come to comics and fucking tanked.
Well, that's why
couldn't get an issue out. You know,
we got Todd.
When working with Mike Barron, I nicknamed those magic bullet panels because it was like you want to see like 4 different things happen in one panel. I'm like, dude, I don't get it. I'm so lost.
Yeah, foreground, midground, and background.
But
he wants expressions in the foreground, action in the midground, and in the background. Through us, like Bagley used to complain all the time on Justice League about that. He's like, what are they doing to me? You know?
Well, you know what? Like
drawing
Mike,
a face up front and then action in the background constantly. Yeah.
well, Mike Barron's working on the fourth dimension, Todd. Like you just got to get with the program. Like there's more than 3 dimensions. There's the fourth dimension. So
That's like
That's
Stephen King said he would never write a friggin' comic book because he's like, I can't. He did, yeah, I know he did eventually, but he said for a long time he's like he'd never write. He says because he said I can't condense my ideas down into that little thing.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Yeah, he did. What was it? Wasn't it a spinoff of that show Body Bags or something like that?
I can't remember what he
Didn't he
did.
do
I just remember
Gunslinger?
it didn't work. And I remember also Orson Scott Card, who was a fucking great writer. You know, he came to comics and that didn't work either. You know,
he did an Iron Man series, and it got real heady. I thought it was interesting, but what they don't understand is that this is a visual medium, and these are characters of action. You have to have them doing things. I think that there's only one person I can mention, and even some of his books were downright boring, is Alan Moore. Like he could make, conversation very interesting and keep your attention. But there are very few writers that can do that. Bendis thinks he can, but he can't. like he just writes dialogue pages that just keep going on for days and days and days.
Diarrhea of the mouth.
I love that John Romita Jr. splash page of the Daily Planet, and it's like Clark and Lois and Perry and Jimmy Olsen, and like the whole. I mean, Romita Jr. drew the shit out of that page, and the whole thing is covered with giant word balloons, like right down the middle of it. You're like losing like nearly half the page with just like nonstop word balloons of Bendis just doing dialogue.
Yeah. I mean,
one of my favorite Bendis things is that he'll go, "This is going to be a double page spread," and it's a Talking Heads double page spread. It's like as an artist, what do you have? Like, there's nothing there. Like, there's nothing to highlight. There's well, I'll make one big panel.
His own books at the beginning, like
he did. And what I think is like. What I figured out with Bendis and like with Alan Moore and stuff is like writers can dictate like a visual look to a comic. And so what Alan Moore could do is he could basically pigeonhole or control an artist into a 9-panel grid, right? Once you write a 9-panel grid, there's not much you can do creatively, right? I mean, that's pretty much all you can do. And so then the 9-panel grid was a way of defining like an Alan Moore story, right? So if you pick up a book and it's got like the 9-panel kind of thing going on, then you kind of know, oh, this is an Alan Moore story. And so Bendis did similar stuff where he's like, well, a double page Talking Heads or like certain visual or written things would then determine like the visuals. But it's so superficial. I mean, you could open it up and go, oh, this is a Bendis book. It's got a double page Talking Heads, thing going on. But other than that, it's like, well, it's not interesting and it's not that successful.
Did Finch save Bendis?
What's that?
Did Finch save Bendis? Because didn't they work a lot together at Marvel? Yeah.
Oh, on during his New Avengers run and all that stuff.
Yeah, like a New Avengers, and X-Men, the Ultimate.
I'll be honest with you, man. When I was picking that book up, I was picking it up for the art.
Yeah. Did you get to see the scripts? Art? They sent you the script, right? I mean,
I never got that far. Like I was pretty much crucified before I started that Avengers run with Finch.
Yeah, but did you do a bunch of X-Men?
Yeah, the Ultimate. Yeah.
Yeah, the Ultimate. That was Bendis too, wasn't it?
It was Bendis and Miller at first, I think, and then Bendis, and that there wasn't that much really going on. He's not like a visual writer.
I'll tell you something who's just as bad, if not worse, as Tom King.
You guys,
I've never even read Tom King, so I can't comment.
What'd you say, Todd?
You guys know Andrew Vox?
I've heard of him.
Perennial guy on crimes against children. He used to write in something called The Parade that used to be in the Sunday paper. So he's like on the cusp of whatever they like. He used to say like 20 years ago, do not take pictures of your children and put them on the internet because they can do all kinds of weird things with Photoshop and like that. So anyway, he wrote some Batman. he wrote some Batman comics, and he wrote a Batman novel. And I was having a conversation with him. I said, man, you really knew like Batman. Like you got it. He was a detective. And he was like, what are you talking about? And he wouldn't admit he wrote any comics. Because something happened that he was so pissed about that he just like, not, that's not me. And it was him. I knew it was him. He was so bitter about comics for some reason.
Well, what was it that Jack Kirby told? Was it Jack Kirby or was it John Byrne? When they tell the kids that don't go into comics, it'll
break your heart.
It'll break your heart. That's Kirby, yeah.
Well, the thing is, like I think like there's a modern day writer thing, and there was like I think we've all been doing comics long enough that we know like when Image made the scene, like writers were pissed, that like these were artists writing their own stories, and for better or for worse, they didn't really use writers that much. I mean, some of them did. There's most of the main writers ended up working at Image, like Alan Moore did, and even what's his name, the Sandman guy,
Neil Gaiman,
and there were a lot of like heavy duty writers, but they weren't so much creating in the early days, and so. Then it came out like after that. I went to Marvel after Image kind of fell apart, and there was for a brief moment in time there was kind of a balance of visuals and written stuff, and there was like a mutual respect, and there were some good stories coming out at that point. It was probably 96, 97, around there, and then. Like writers started really flexing their muscles, and then the industry, instead of like making stars out of the visual artists, they were really making stars out of the writers. And so then the writers, got a lot of credentials and started getting a lot of power, and then started making these things more written than visual. Case in point, they were like, I'll take over with my dialogue. Like my dialogue will define this book instead of the visuals. And if you listen to any of those old guys, like I hung out with them, like Marv Wolfman and Lynn Wein and those guys and Chris Claremont, they'll tell you, we wrote visuals. That's what they prided themselves on. They wrote situations. They wrote like things that were visual, and they took pride in it. It wasn't the dialogue that they were all getting hung up on. It was like they were actually writing plots, action, interesting visual situations. And the writers that are writing comics now aren't visual writers. No. They just like get crazy with listening to their own voice, right? Yeah. Like they get to pontificate in a comic with all this written balloons everywhere. And that's just not what superhero comics are. I mean, you can have books that are like that, but that's not what superhero comics. These are characters of action. They got to be doing stuff.
Yeah. One of the last writers that I think still kind of kept that mentality, Jeff Loeb. Like he wrote for the artist. He wrote when he was writing Hush for Jim Lee. He was thinking about what is Jim's strengths when I'm writing. Yeah. When he wrote for. Did he do stuff? He did a bunch of different stuff with like some of the top name artists right there, right before he left comics. But he was a writer who actually thought about what does the artist do good, and let me write to their strengths. Yeah. Nowadays it's all arrogance.
Yeah. To that point, you have Michael Bendis on Ultimate Spider-Man. I was there, and you have one of the best visual action artists out there, which is Mark Bagley, right? And then you just have him doing like Aunt May scenes, or Mary Jane and Peter Parker in the basement. And I'm not saying you can't do those stories, but a lot of the stories were like that. And man, I mean, it's like you said, Clint, play to the strengths. You have a guy that isn't, not that he's not good at visual, like talking head stuff, but Bagley's figures, his faces aren't really that aesthetically pleasing, but man, his action will knock your socks off. So man, use that guy. Like if I was writing for Bagley, that's all I'd be doing is just bombastic shit and just seeing, what you get back. And I would take great pride in that. But I really do think like it's an ego thing. I think writers are trying to define themselves more with their actual words than crafting, a great
they're working
action
on the
story.
reputations and not the stories. Yeah. I mean, Stan had the right idea when he invented the Marvel method. Just give a fucking brief outline and then hire a killer storyteller and let him run. Let that guy run, because that's the comic book. And then come back to it and dialogue it. That was fucking genius. And it's still the best way to do it. But first of all, that kind of talent's not around anymore.
Yeah, the thing is, like, right now it feels like a fight because the art is getting in the way of their awesome writing.
Yeah.
So it's just one on top of the other. They're not melding together as a cohesive thing.
Yeah. Plus, when superheroes are checking their Twitter feed, I mean, it's fucking
Yeah. Well, you also remember too that a lot of writers today, like, comics isn't the end goal. They want to get somewhere else.
They want to be on TV, filling their schedule.
Yeah.
But even still, I mean, you're going to be judged on your own merit. So if you're writing, Spider-Man, and Spider-Man doesn't do anything visually, I think you are failing miserably. So you're not going to get those other jobs.
That's the thing; they're not being held to that standard. They're just they're stunning and brave. They're automatically stunning and brave.
Yeah. So I think that in your resume, the only thing you have to put, I wrote Spider-Man. You don't have to say which issues.
Yep.
Well, I think if you're going to do your resume, you have to use your pronouns, and then you have you have to say that you're what do they call it?
POC.
An activist. Like they have a bunch of things before you even get to writer. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I'm an activist, Black Lives Matter, transgender rights, blah blah blah, and I write Spider-Man.
I rescue dogs.
You can tell.
I volunteer, and I do Spider-Man.
You can tell the way the writer writes what job they're actually looking for.
Yeah.
You can tell if they're trying to get a CW Teen Angst show or, whatever, where it's nothing's happening.
Into movies or.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, you honestly think anybody's going to ask Vita Ayala if anything she wrote was any good? No, they're going to take one look at it and be like, "You're hired."
You're hired.
Yeah, but you have
just put it in the background.
People that are learning to tell stories from watching fucking bad television. They're not actual writers. They're just rehashing boring shit that I mean, the golden age of fucking writers, died with the word processor. The guys who could really fucking write, knew how to write.
Chris is dating himself, man. Wasn't even a freaking typewriter, man. It was a word processor.
Yeah, we rolled with
had that little bar across the bottom there that you only see 3 lines.
Well, back to a point that Chris made earlier about the Stan Lee kind of plot. Just break it down. All you have to do as a writer is spark that artist's imagination, right? That's all you have to do, man. If it's 3 words and you can do it in 3 words. Or you could do it in 4 sentences. It doesn't matter. But it's giving that artist that visual, giving them the idea that's going to get them rolling on it. Yeah. I remember it was Dan Mishkin. I did like a Teen Titans book, and even Lin Wein. I've worked off his plots, and a lot of the older guys. And you know what? They were so good at it. They understood the left-right rule. These were more than just like the Stan Lee plots. I mean, these were full plots with some dialogue in them. But they understood all of this stuff. They understood how it flowed. And so when this is when I first started, it would almost like it was already laid out. You know what I mean? I would read this stuff and the visual would be so good that I didn't have to worry about left-right rule. I didn't have to worry about who spoke, putting this character on the left side because he speaks first. And they had all that stuff kind of worked out. So then just drawing it was a treat. They gave you enough that you understood. It wasn't overly written, but, it didn't go, put this guy on the left. It wasn't like an Alan Moore script. It was still very, loose plot, but they understood how it was going to look visually when they wrote it. And so then when you go to lay it out, it was easy breezy,
Yeah,
and it worked.
All those guys were tutored, like those old timers when they came, fucking Roy Thomas was tutored by Stan. In those days, you were brought in and taught these things, how it's done. These days, you have people have no fucking clue. You have editors that literally don't even know how to put an art team together.
I was just going to say, editors don't know how to write a script or literally,
And they're editing comic books. It's fucking outrageous.
Well, TV and movie scripts are mostly dialogue. So that's what the writers They're just practicing, for their next job. They don't give a shit about comic books at all.
Yeah,
And
but
you can see
I've
that.
read some really good, like Sam Hamm's, like Batman script. I've read some good scripts, and you know what? Like the dialogue's there, but man, the visuals, they're not overly written because they don't really it's just like guy walks in a room, give a brief explanation of what's in the room and stuff like that. Some of those guys are really, really good, man. You can read it and get a visual, and track it really well. But you're right for the most part, especially with like TV. Because TV was never really that much of a visual medium. One, for action adventure, it costs money, and two, I remember Leslie Nielsen talking about TV versus movies, and what did he have? The Naked Gun, but it was a TV series. What was it called? Police Squad first, and so it got canceled, and he had this great observation. Leslie Nielsen was in like Breakfast at Tiffany's, right? Like this guy was like a heartthrob at one point. Was it him or was it the guy from
like
A-Team?
leading man kind of guy, yeah.
Yeah, but he was a leading man, guy. George Peppard,
Leslie Nielsen was in like what was it? One of the the 50s sci-fi.
But I think they were both kind of like leading men, kind of heartthrobs. But we only know them kind of by these older characters they play. But anyway, so he's talking about like comedy, and he said TV, because then he did the Naked Gun movies, and they were really, really successful. They were popular, but the TV show got canceled, and he said people that watch movies are in a darkened room without any annoyances, right? So they focus on what is there because there's nothing else to focus on. But TV is different. TV is like you're multitasking, you're doing all the stuff, and you're not paying attention. And these were visual gags. Like most of the Naked Gun stuff was all visual gags. So people just weren't getting it because they weren't paying attention. So then you realize the limitations of TV, where dialogue you can hear anywhere in the house. You know what I mean? You don't necessarily have to be watching it. So then it becomes more reliant on certain elements. One, budget, and two, because people don't really watch TV the same way they watch a movie. And so I always, when he said that, I was like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. Because also, like, remember, like shows, I think they still do this sometimes when they'll break to the commercial, and then when they come back, they'll kind of recap what happened just before the freaking commercial.
The reality shit always does that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Like all reality shows do that. Like when they come back, it's like, remember 2 seconds ago.
Because you weren't paying attention. Yeah. You're doing other things.
It's really insulting. It's really insulting.
He's absolutely right. I mean, that tension that you put into something in a theater it's the same thing as like people that are into fucking audio and deep listening and everything. Anybody that's into that shit knows to fucking kill the lights in your house and to basically you'll heighten your sense of hearing by depriving your sense of sight, and you'll get the experience is 10 times better than if you were fucking in a room with flashing lights and everything. It's the distraction. It's the focus of, what it is that you want to pay attention to. And that's exactly, he's right. That's why we fucking turn the lights and why everybody has to shut the fuck up. And, we're here and we're going to get, involved in this story.
Well, do you remember like even like the great action adventure that we know, like we brought up the 70s from, earlier in the chat, in the conversation. And, it would always lead to a moment like Dukes of Hazzard or the Hulk or whatever it was. Like it would kind of be boring until like the last third and maybe the last 5 minutes of the show when you get Banner hulking out or you get the General Lee doing the crazy jump or something like that.
No, like
so
they
kind of programmed you into like how to view it, you know what I mean? Because then it led up to this moment, so you had to pay attention that last third of the show.
TV is episodic, so you have to, first of all, if you train your audience with that, then they'll sit through 2/3 of bullshit to get to the money shot. But also, you want to teach them to come back for the next episode next week. That's why comics work so well, superhero comics at least. The cliffhanger ending. You can do that every fucking book and never resolve anything. And that's what Burns' X-Men run is. issue after issue after issue, it's a fucking a splash page reveal for the new adventure and everything. You're right there. You fucking jump right in.
Did you say ambush bug? That made me think of ambush bug and Keith Giffen. Dark side at the end of every issue. That was always epic.
TV, once the show gets rolling, it's always the same sets.
Yeah.
So if you're a writer, you really are just doing dialogue because like Big Bang is 4 sets total.
Yeah.
And usually same characters in the same room for the whole goddamn show.
Well, sitcoms specifically, but man, TV of the past just annoyed me. It's not as bad as it used to be, but they were so insulting where they would show the guy. He'd come out of his house. He'd lock the door behind him. He'd walk over to his car. He'd unlock his door, open his door, sit in it, start the car. Like they would show all the minutia of like the shit, and it's like, I don't want to see that, man. I just want to see those Dukes of Hazzard guys like jump that General Lee. I don't need to see all this other stuff.
All that. If you watch a lot of old stuff, it's like that because it's so much cheaper. You're just shooting a guy walking out of his house and starting his car up instead of following the car down the street and
but at least the Green Hornet had the similar thing. Like they'd go gas gun, hornet sting, and then they'd flip the car around. Like they did the same kind of ritual, every week. But as a kid, you're just like, oh shit, I want, because they had a platform where they had the car, like it was a normal car, and then like Kata would push a code on the thing, and then the car would flip around, and then like the other car would be, it's impossible. Like suspension would not hold the car, for like 2 days, like it'd just be hanging upside down. But
tires, hey, where'd the car go?
But like as a kid, you're just like, who cares, man? Yeah. But yeah, what was it like with comic books? It's like the action will suck them in, but the melodrama is what keeps them. Yeah, so you sell a comic by like this killer action, right? You're on the newsstand, you're just looking through. It's like, oh, there's some cool shit here. I'll buy it, and then you read it, and then there's like melodrama, and the melodrama is usually what brings you in the next month.
Yeah, there's got to be a reason. There has to be a good reason for the action.
I see those what is it, Spinner Rack on Twitter shows the old comics from like the 70s and 80s. You'd get like a whole little story snippet just by the cover art, and they'd have a couple of balloons of dialogue, but you'd get like a sense of what was coming, and like they did such a good job. And it was like, oh, Batman's dead, but who's this ghost standing behind me or something?
And then my favorite is when you get sucked in by it. It's like, oh, Batman's dead, and the Justice League are hanging out at his gravesite, and then nothing like that happens inside the book.
That was another thing. Do you remember when covers actually showed something that was going to happen in the book?
Oh yeah, yeah. It was like a teaser. It was like set the tone up. It's kind of like what Watchmen did, which I thought was pretty smart, where the cover was like basically the first page of the book.
Yeah.
Right. So the cover, the cover was already kind of gearing you up tonally for what the story was going to be, and it's all psychological. Like you're not really paying attention to it, but you're really immersed with it from the very beginning. Before you even turn that first page.
In the Bronze Age, we get a whole something like Marvel Team Up or something. You get a whole adventure in an issue or two, and they were big fucking adventures too, in the sense of like, that you had been somewhere and read something and everything. And these days, you get one issue like that and they'll fucking drag it out for 20 issues.
Oh,
and, it's just like, what am I paying for,
who I blame for that, and I don't care, I'll say it out loud, is Fabian Nicieza. Like, if you look, like Fabian just wrote like 3, 4, 5 books a month, for Marvel. He definitely abused his power and his status at that company. But like, he would take one thing, like because I was working with him on 2 books, X-Men and Cable, and so there was like tasers. Like he was fascinated with tasers in the early 90s, right? So then if you look at all the books that came out that month, they all had tasers in them, and then he figured it out. And I think because he was the first one, I think that figured this out. He could take one subject matter, and then he would milk that for like not just one book, but maybe 2 or 3. right? There was no real subplots. There was nothing like the old, before, where there would be many things going on at the same time. Maybe 2-3 subplots happening. No, that's too difficult. He had one linear storyline that maybe would go 2 or 3 issues, and you're just like, okay.
I'm willing to blame Fabian for a whole bunch of shit.
Yeah, I don't like the guy.
I met that guy one time, and what Art just said.
I'm friendly with Fabian.
There's a writer. I don't like the name Fabian.
The guy had a bottle of cologne on.
No, sir.
I hate him.
There was a writer across that
I don't like him.
His main plots were from whatever movie he had watched that day. So, that weekend, you'd just be like, "Oh, what's going on now?" You're like, wasn't that in the theater 2 months ago?"
But there was Chris Claremont that did that too. It's like, I just watched Aliens, and then like all of a sudden, like, Aliens type. So the Brood shows up and stuff, and it's like, but you know what? It's like, who cares? Like, if it's done well, like you can wear
the whole Dark Phoenix thing is the fucking that Star Trek episode, where it's one of the very first episodes.
The one where Pike, or no, it's where they get the
guy
blue,
gets
the white eyes.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, and he becomes super powerful. Yeah,
episode. And then the Hellfire Clubs from the English Avengers show.
The Avengers
characters are from that.
We all take from stuff we like.
Yeah.
Comics is a strong history in borrowing.
Yeah, but I was familiar with Star Trek, tremendously. I was a huge Trek fan, and I didn't pick up on it.
Well,
teenager. It's
because if it's well done and it's disguised enough, it seems fresh. Because all these ideas have been used before, and everybody has their inspiration. So that really doesn't matter as long as it's done well.
Plus, it's new to an audience who hasn't seen it yet. So if you're like stealing from something a little bit more obscure or something older that a new audience hasn't
you have
seen.
the number one artist drawing it. So
John Byrne can clean it up a little bit too.
Exactly.
John Byrne in his prime. Oh yeah, nobody's gonna complain about that. Between
him and Austin, so.
Oh god.
Well, thank you, Frankie brings up Claremont took 50 issues to flip Magneto to the Angels. There was one thing about like too many subplots going on, and that was Chris Claremont's problem. Is like he had too much going on and really didn't resolve things as they went. They went in like in a logical manner. He wasn't really resolving things.
He really got into subplots like later on. I mean, I like the Rogue Savage Land stuff and the Shi'ar, and he had like 4 or 5 subplots going on at the same time.
You would think you missed an issue. You would get the issue and go, wait, and you go back to the previous issue and go like, what happened? I'm confused.
Yeah, but all that stuff after Byrne's run that Claremont did, those are all storylines that Byrne rejected. And Byrne was like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do it. Let's do this one. And so after Byrne is, off the book, that's when Claremont used all those like kind of leftover stories.
Really?
That makes sense.
That?
Yeah.
Wow. So what you're saying is that Byrne really didn't want to finish up those storylines that Claremont was writing. So that's why those subplots weren't being resolved.
Well, yeah, because they would basically like rehash things that like were meant for Byrne's original run, and Byrne just like nixed them. Was like, no, I don't want to work on that. Let's do this one instead. And so he had a whole bunch of leftover plots. That's why there's a lot of throwbacks to it, like with the Shi'ar, fucking Phoenix is back. 10 issues or some shit.
All I know is some of the best dinners and lunches I've ever had as a comic book artist were paid for by Chris Claremont. That guy had a Marvel credit card. He had
nice.
Yeah. So he could take freelancers out if he wanted to and stuff.
I was like a true freelancer, man.
That would be awesome.
I remember dinners.
Who was at some of the let's get a art story time. Like, do you remember like a dinner with like creators and Chris was taking you guys all out?
Yeah, it was, like New York City, San Diego Comic-Con, little cons. Like if Chris was there, it was on Chris. So everybody buddied up with Chris, at the show, like trying to get some free food.
And it was all the guys at Marvel, or was it just kind of across the board?
Well, if it was at a convention, anybody that knew that Chris had a credit card, was probably becoming fast friends with Chris. But like the DC guys were always pretty generous, like Carlin and I don't know. Do you guys remember Jonathan Peterson over at DC? Oh my gosh, yeah. Peterson and I, like, at one point we were like best friends, and oh my gosh, he had credit. Oh, like if I went to New York City, we'd go to the rooftop. What was the old Time Warner building where they had that rooftop like bar and the glass all the way around, like it was on the top floor.
Wasn't that by Rockefeller Center? Or?
Yeah, the rooftop, and we sat right next to the big glass window. You could just look, I don't know, 50 stories down. I don't know how tall the building was, and you just look straight down, and you're just sitting there like, oh shit. and this was about the time that Burton was doing the Batman stuff, and this is before internet, so any shit you could get on anything, you were like, really? What? Then what happened?
Gossip was gold.
Yeah, that guy. Like if a photo of the Batmobile showed up in a magazine, you went out and bought that magazine, and then you just stared at that one photo for like freaking days. You know what I mean? Like,
at that exact same time, I was having like for about 6 or 8 months.
But let me just finish the story real quick. Anyway, I'll just wrap it up real quick. Jonathan knew all the stuff about that new movie. So I was just like, yeah, so keep going. So then what? What happened after that? So I knew a ton of stuff about the Batman movie before it even came out. So go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, it actually was Carlin who showed me the Batman press photos before they were released. Uslan had come in and showed them around the office, and Mike had a copy. And when after Uslan left, Mike showed me. But for about 6 or 8 months, right about that same exact time, every single Friday night, me, Carlin, Kyle Baker, Mike Mignola, I'm trying to remember who else was there, but every Friday night we had dinner, and we used to hit this fucking Korean barbecue joint on like 56th Street or something, and they used to make, it was in the summers. Like this is the days of frozen margaritas, but they made frozen margaritas that came in like a fishbowl. You had fucking 2 of those, man. You couldn't walk. Yeah.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, one of my fondest memories is like, I don't know why, but Dick Giordano and Pat Bastine, I could never say your last name. They liked me, and I don't know why. I'm thankful that they did, but they're at the Universal Sheraton at Universal Studios, and I just get a call like, hey, you want to hang out? It's like, sure. And so Batman Returns was being filmed at the time, and so he had this killer suite, and there was a bunch of DC people and like movie people there and everything. We're just hanging out, and it was we ate, but it was all room service. Like it was just freaking crazy, like we're just sitting around this suite, just eating and talking about this Batman movie. And then finally Dick's like, there's a scene I have to tell you, Art. And I'm like, what's the scene? He's like, there's a kiddie CPR scene in the movie.
Hey, comic book Bob is back.
What? Oh, okay. Thanks. And sorry about that, Bob. That's and so then, he's like, I'm like, kitty CPR. He's like, yeah, Catwoman had just fallen out of a window or something. She's knocked unconscious and she's not breathing. And so all these cats start jumping on her chest and breathing into her mouth, and they bring her back to life. And he's like, I'm having a real hard time with this. And I was like, yeah, okay. I think the only thing I can think of saying, because you don't really want to go, yeah, that's really stupid. So I just said, well, it's Tim Burton. Maybe he'll be able to pull off the visuals to the point where he can sell this idea. But it is kind of crazy, and he couldn't pull it off. That seems horrible.
That whole sequence is dumb.
Yeah, but he had photos and he had the script there, and he's telling me all about it and stuff. So it was one of those like once in a lifetime type of things, and it was really killer.
They had Pfeiffer's Catwoman suit in the office for quite a while. She's really petite, and some asshole like stole the gloves or something.
Of course.
Well, Chris, have you ever seen that? I actually own one of the cows, the Michelle Pfeiffer cow. Yeah, I didn't steal it though. Yeah.
What? You've never told us that.
I've never
before,
shown that before.
Sure, you did it, Art.
Well, I don't know if Chris saw it, but
Is it still holding up? I mean, the latex and
It's
everything.
it's kind of falling apart. I mean, it's like 30 something years old now. But she's really tiny.
Yeah.
I think if I swing this around, you can see the Batman cowl right there.
There you go.
Cool. You need to you got to put that in like an airtight thing so that won't degrade.
I think it's too late now.
It's on a look at me status. Yeah.
That thing's going to be one with the earth very soon.
Oh no.
It's turning to dust. But yeah, I mean, those are great times, and I don't know if any editors even have those kind of expense accounts,
Do you remember like in those like early 90s, you ever go to with Mike Richardson, like to a fucking movie screening or something? He'd fucking hand out like 300 tickets.
Yeah, I've heard of them, but I never.
I went to like 3 of them. Then we go to dinner.
But that would be like when he comes to New York or something, right?
No,
or would you go to Portland?
That in San Diego. I did all of those in San Diego.
Okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
like I can't remember The Shadow, and I think Time Cop, and he would just he would book a movie theater.
Van Damme.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, Rob Liefeld did that for Deadpool.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so we all hung out there, and some of the actors were there and things. It was pretty cool.
Oh, that's neat.
And then Rob took us out for some food.
That's the thing. If there's no
my
food,
brother actually picked up the girl from Time Cop. What's her name?
Mia Sarah.
Yeah.
Oh, it was
She's
Mia Sarah.
from Ferris Bueller's Day
I just
Off,
realized that we're like on YouTube.
Never mind.
What were you gonna say, Chris?
That we're on the
We're
internet.
just shooting this shit, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. All right,
Start speaking out
we're
of
not.
school.
The cameras are
skip that
still
story.
rolling. Dude,
That's the
Mia
thing
Sarah-
about. That's the thing about hanging out with you guys, man. It just becomes a free form. We actually had a show structured out for you guys, but
that ship sailed a long time ago.
It sailed the first,
Hey, I've got one thing that I'm going to show, just because you said something about posters from our childhood.
Oh yeah,
Posters.
Well, this is just like, this is a back of a comic. Think of a back of a comic from the 70s.
Okay.
Let me share this with Art see if this rings any bells for anybody else like it did for me. It was the first thing I thought of, and I've never seen the actual movie.
But you have the poster or had it?
Here, I'm sharing it now.
Oh shit!
Remember that Orca?
The Orca, yeah.
The Orca movie poster was like on the back of every comic for like a year and a half or 2 years.
Yeah,
I saw that movie.
Was it any good? That's what I wanted to ask.
Sucked.
No. You know what the best part about this is like I lived SeaWorld, and then there was SeaWorld, and then there was 2 of these like kind of like marina type things where they had a lot of giant fish and stuff and like dolphins and things.
Fish.
And they're called killer whales, and I always thought, like, as a kid, like, oh man, like that's badass. They're called killer whales. And then you'd go to these places, and then they're like riding these things, and they're doing tricks with them. And I'm like, man, that sucks. Like, could you imagine them doing that with a shark or something? The shark throwing them out of the water and like all this stuff. And so when I saw this orca, I was already jaded. I was like, this is bullshit.
I just remember that was like on the back of every comic for like the longest time, and I never saw the movie because I was probably like 7. And
the poster art is badass.
That looks like a fun movie.
Yeah,
I remember Orca. I saw it in the movie theater.
That guy's on top of that whale with like a what is it, like a
harpoon or something.
Yeah,
I saw
the thing. Yeah, but the thing with orcas is that they just don't kill you. They play with you first.
Yeah.
And as in, when I mean play, it's torture. They will torture you, and then they'll kill you.
Mm-hmm.
They're the assholes of the ocean.
They have really large brains.
Yeah.
So why they don't seem to have that kind of like shark threat.
Oh, okay. That's the thing. When an orca kills a trainer, they move the orca and they bring a new one. But it happens more often than people think.
Okay. So they are dangerous creatures, not just because they're wild animals, but they're
very intelligent, but they're evil.
But how many years is Orca after Jaws? Because
I think that was what they were hoping for, is to capitalize off of Jaws.
That's what I mean, because there are Jaws sequels that
It was probably within 3 years of Jaws, I'm guessing.
Are you okay, Bob?
Bob's down.
Boob is doomed.
There was a bunch of, and then man, I'll tell you, like Jaws 3D, like they just kept it going.
Oh God, yeah, they beat the living hell out of Jaws.
Do you remember Piranha? Piranha. Yeah, Piranha.
Yeah, they had all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. And they did like the sequel, like the Piranhas like flew.
I like Piranha 3D with Kelly Brook in it.
Oh, dude.
Got any Kelly Brook fans in the house?
Oh yeah.
You know what? There was an ingredient back then. Like you could do Swamp Thing, but then you have what's her name, Barbeau.
Andrea Barbeau.
Like you would have like your B movie kind of like horror type thing, but you'd always have like this great, what they call them, Scream Queens at the time.
Scream Queens, yep.
Yeah, like now they go, oh well, she's a hero or whatever. Then it was just like they were just like sexy, like eye candy to go along with
you sprinkle boobs on it. That's what they did.
Yeah, with the monster or whatever.
You know what
that t-shirt was getting ripped somewhere along the lines.
Yeah.
You know what this needs? Boobs.
Well, was the first one that did that? Was that Creature the Black Lagoon? Like that was like the first. No, actually King Kong. King Kong.
King Kong. Yeah, with Fay Ray.
King Kong.
The one I always think of in that thing is the Deep with Jack LaMossette.
That's the movie I was trying to think of. Yeah, the Deep.
Because like she's fucking braless in the t-shirt, scuba diving. Like
yeah, she was
for
the whole movie
for an hour and a half.
I'm googling it right now.
I'm going to look for that on streaming tonight.
Yeah.
What do they call it? Spank-A-Vision?
Well, when did that whole theme of like the underwater horror movies, like maybe The Deep was the first one, but
Jaws.
there was
That'd be Jaws.
but actual underwater, because it was like, wasn't there? There was a couple different ones.
Wait, hold on. This might.
Hey, Derek.
Yeah.
Marcus is saying that Bo Derek was in Orca.
Now I need to see Orca.
Yes,
exactly.
was. You guys want to see a poster from my childhood?
Hell yeah.
Oh wow.
Is this a setup?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I remember that.
The big crossover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a sweet crossover. Those were cool characters.
And what was her name?
What was the redheaded chick?
Misery.
Misery.
Yeah.
I always think of that Beatles song, Misery, and I always think, whenever I hear that song, I always think of that character.
Wasn't there a tour? Did you guys do a tour to push it?
Yeah, there was like a big tour with
Comic
Jim
shop,
and Mark.
Yeah. Yep.
My shit! Look at that.
Was Mike Zeck's Punisher posters. I had all of them.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Dude, that's awesome.
She Grifter, yeah.
Is that Silvestri?
That's no. This was Jim. Jim and Silvestri both did. They both did like half the book inside.
Travis did part of it too.
Yeah, Travis did part of it. Yeah.
Man, I don't know if I have those issues.
Yeah. But dude, I've got.
That was the good old days.
I would beg my comic book shop, my local LCS guys, like, dude, when you're done with that poster, I want it.
Yeah, those retail posters, those were a big part of like marketing and merchandising.
And then of course, because I'm a big Star Trek guy,
you can't find that stuff anymore.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, dude.
Okay, how many people had the big X-Men like? It was like a
the X-Men 275,
and then they made it into a poster.
Well, there's the Jim Lee one that was just for the poster too.
Yeah,
the one with glasses.
It was the one that was lengthwise instead of
the door poster.
The door poster. Yeah,
that's from issue 1 too, right?
That's from issue 1. Yeah,
but I think what I'm talking about, Rob's talking about, it predates that. Right?
Yeah,
it's the one with Havoc on it, and
isn't that the 3-piece?
It's 3 pieces. Yep.
Yeah,
Colossus and Is it Colossus and Rogue around?
Yeah,
one
it's
Yeah,
yeah,
and they're
the-
really
oh.
like Colossus is really big, like he's from the
Yeah.
waist up or
Yeah.
something.
I don't think I've seen that before.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've got.
Oh,
I had that. I don't know if I still have it, but I know
That's
the picture you're
awesome.
talking about.
Yeah,
I'll
I'm
see
not
if I
sure I've
can
ever
find
seen
it.
that.
I
Yeah,
wouldn't be
I
surprised
have-
if they sold 500,000 of those.
I've got a story about that. At one point, they asked Jim to draw because the posters sold so well. They asked him to do more, and he said, "Well, how much?" And they're like, 10 grand. He goes, "What am I going to do with 10 grand?" Because he was so busy with Uncanny X-Men and all the royalties. He turned down drawing any more X-Men posters.
Oh,
Too
poor,
busy.
poor Jim.
So
What a
Wait,
problem to
here's
have.
the artwork here. Let's
we all shed
Oh.
a single tear.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So it's on
That's
this
when-
side, and then
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure I've ever seen that.
What?
That one's.
How did you miss that?
That's awesome.
Oh, okay. I kind of
There it
remember
is.
that now.
Because like I'm one of the few people that likes Havoc more better than like Cyclops.
Oh, that's
So-
sweet.
Art, is that the
Banshee?
big omnibus book? Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have that. I haven't flipped through it yet.
Oh, that is sweet.
Great.
Yeah, dude.
yeah, I got paid nothing for being in it, so that was nice.
Of course. Bastards.
Yeah. That page folds the other way.
It's actually. I have that book behind me. I flipped through the first
Yeah.
couple of pages and it made me sad.
It made me sad.
But
That's
is
what they were
actually-
shooting for.
this is actually one of my favorite ones. This is Wills.
Oh yeah.
This is they had that big crossover between all of the Wildstorm books.
You know, I've never told this to anybody. Well, hold on.
Uh-oh.
Let me see. Let me get this out. Hold on, Bob.
Yeah.
Let's do full screen because the images are small. Oh shit!
Yeah. That's, they
Yeah,
had
that's
all the
cool.
different
That's all the
covers.
Wildstorm universe, right?
Yep. But yeah.
But
And,
I have a unpublished piece of Will Spataccio artwork that we did for promotion when we started X Factor, I think.
Oh.
And it's oversized. It's like for some reason Will didn't draw it on Marvel or DC paper, so it's really big, and it's partially still in pencil and partially in ink.
Really?
And, yeah, I still
Really?
have that thing. Yeah,
You gotta finish it off and put it in an auction.
I don't know. I don't know why.
You could probably pay off your house with that.
Yeah.
Like all seriousness, man. It's like damn.
Yeah, my house is already paid off.
No, of course it is.
Oh, of course it is.
Art flexing over here.
Exactly.
Art's my hero.
I want to be when I grow up.
When I grow up, yeah. See, kids, you can make a good living in comics.
That's but yeah, that's
Yeah.
some of the posters I had. And then I had what was it? I had remember the cover art for Van Halen 1984?
Yeah,
The kids,
the-
little cherub smoking.
yeah.
right.
I had that, and I had like shit. What else did I have?
Actually, the coolest posters that I had, I remember. I specifically I had to have these. They were the Mobius Marvel posters. So there was like
Oh
Silver
yeah, the ones that were
Surfer.
glow in the dark.
No, they were just like Marvel was putting out some killer retail posters at the time, and so there was like the Punisher and Daredevil. There were like all kinds of like Marvel, and he did them different. Some of them were pen and ink, like more traditional like comic book stuff. Some of them were like full like kind of like Prismacolor, watercolor paintings, just killer stuff. And this Mike Mignola had a Fantastic Four retail poster,
Yep.
and holy shit,
Great
man.
picture.
I'll tell you, Mike Mignola missed his calling. The Fantastic Four, Mike in the day, this is Mike in the day. If he would have got a good writer and took over the Fantastic Four, it would have been absolutely fantastic.
Why did they stop with the posters?
Eh?
Did they just start not selling or something?
I don't know. I mean, all the way up to the image years, like mid 90s, retail posters were still pretty popular.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and they would even, you could see. Remember, you could go into the stores like Target and stuff, and they would be selling lots of different posters.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, hold
look
on.
at that.
Hold on, let me see.
Now Bob is flexing.
Oh yeah, the Campbell.
The Jim. Yeah, no, this is
That's Jim.
That's
Oh,
Jim.
it's Jim.
Yeah.
That was before Campbell really put his signature
That
on
was in
Gen
the
13.
Wizard, right?
Was that Wizard?
Yeah, this was from a Wizard magazine.
Oh, okay.
God, remember when comics were cool, kids?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, we lived through the best era of freaking comics.
All you got to do is look behind Bob's on his wall. That's all the cool when comics were awesome.
Yeah,
they're right there.
Comics were awesome.
When comics were badass, and so were the writers
Mm-hmm.
and the artists and.
But Bob,
everything.
Just super quick, the 1984 Van Halen thing and the video for Panama. You ever see the just the video? That concert footage. I'm in that show. I'm like,
cool.
Wow.
Like a third back, fucking drop dead center.
Chris is like losing his mind. Fuck yeah, Eddie! Eddie! Whoa!
Eddie is God, dude. Like even just like the pinups that came out of like those swimsuit issues, like this Michael Turner.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, hold on.
Remember that cheesecake? Imagine Marvel doing cheesecake books now.
Oh, dude, they will put.
Imagine doing.
Hang on, I got another one. Hang on, I got another one.
Now,
check.
Just imagine it.
Just imagine it.
There's J. Scott Campbell.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He got a lot better.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
That's still not bad, man. Oh, this one. This is like there's actually a full blown poster of this.
Is that the swimsuit poster book? Is that what it is?
This is this is one of the first pieces that Michael Turner did. For
that's really good.
And it's like super. There's an actual poster of this out there somewhere, and I've never been able to find it.
You know what? I hate to say this out loud, but I think Rob Liefeld lifted that because I've seen that pose that Rob. I mean, Michael barely pulls it off with that waist and stuff like that. Yeah. But Rob, and then the elbow turned out like that. That's hard to draw.
Yeah. But like the detail in the gun and just the shading on the body and everything in her arm.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Like,
Rob.
dude, Mike was dude, I miss that guy.
I got to get that in.
Dude, that's like, man, like think about like we lost like during that time period, we lost a lot of guys young, man. Like we lost, what was it, Mike Waringo and Mike Turner within like 2 years, like a year and a half of each other or something like that.
Wait, so we're losing Clint, but this ought to bring him back. Clint had a Winger
poster.
No doubt.
Maybe.
Dude, he doesn't even deny it. He's like, maybe.
Maybe I did.
What was the
Maybe I did.
I had the was it Meatloaf's Bat Out of Hell?
Well, I want to back up with the whole poster thing. Didn't that guy from Winger actually do like a what was it, Playgirl, like centerfold?
Probably.
Oh God, I think you might be right.
Dude, you remember when what's his name from Knight Rider did one of those things and everyone lost their mind?
Hasselhoff.
I'm like back when he had like the big friggin' white guy fro.
Yeah, the best one is Burt Reynolds.
Oh God.
The fur rug in the fireplace.
Yeah. Does he have a hat on? I think he has a hat on.
The fact that you actually know what the thing is.
Exactly. This is very deep.
But that was the centerfold for Playgirl.
Yeah,
I think so. He was the first. Right?
Hey,
EVS did a Winger cover. Like
he was the number one box office seller from 1978 to 1981.
Yeah, and you know who took over? Tom Cruise.
Yep.
Oh, was it?
Yep, it was Tom Cruise takes over and it stays Tom Cruise for like 30 years.
Oh,
we're making a list of naked
That's
men.
crazy that.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Frankie, saying Joe Namath.
Yeah, Joe Namath did one too.
Oh my God.
Sharky's Machine was the last Burt Reynolds movie that was the big earner, and then fucking right after that you jump into Risky Business.
I don't want to.
I'll tell you right now, Sharky's Machine is one of the best freaking movies I've ever seen. That coked up maniac.
Yeah, I remember.
Oh my gosh! Like they're just it's like Scarface-esque, man. They put like a ton of bullets in that guy, right? And he's still coming at him, and he's just like coked out of his mind. That guy scared the shit out of me.
And then the stunt at the time, the fall, I think was a world record.
Yeah, but I remember the black guy. Like he encountered the guy on the stairs. And he's just all shot up, and then Sharky comes up the stairs, and he's like, he's not real, Sharky. It's a freaking ghost. It's a freaking ghost, Sharky. Like, I shot him like a million times, and it just went right through him, man. The guy's not real. And I was like, oh, shit, that's badass.
Are we done? Are we done listing naked men?
Well, I think Citizens.
Did you feel left out, Pedro?
Do you want to
No,
go?
I just don't want to be in this
R2D2?
highlight. I'm sorry. This is gonna be highlighted, and I don't want to be there.
Oh, come on, Pedro. Like you've never had a gay thought in your life.
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Wait. Art had the original Harry Houdini poster from the 1900s.
Oh.
You know, I have it here somewhere. It's somewhere around here.
Nice.
Okay.
Look at this. Look at this. See, Citizens Ronin says Sharky's Machine was a good movie. You're damn right it was.
What do you think is the best Burt Reynolds movie of all time?
Oh,
The End.
The end.
yeah, this is a funny movie.
The End's a really funny movie.
No, I think
Cannonball.
it's
Isn't he in Cannonball Run? Cannonball
yeah.
Run?
He's in those.
Cannonball.
No,
Cannonball.
I think those were overrated.
You remember the movie
Those are
Hooper?
horrible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought that was
Yeah, but then
overrated.
you have like fucking Gator and White Lightning. Those are not good movies, but they're kind of classic in their way.
He was the Adam Sandler of the time,
Yeah,
like
exactly,
Reynolds
yeah.
just had his group of friends, and they just kept making movies that they wanted to make. They didn't really care if anybody
They didn't
went
give
to see
two
them or
fucks.
It was just an excuse to hang out and drink beer.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
when we're gonna drive around this fucking car and
It's-
I'm gonna bang Sally Fields. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a movie.
It's funny. It's funny how no one says Deliverance.
Yeah, that's funny.
Pedro's over here going, yeah.
Yeah.
Delivered, I think, is the one Burt Reynolds movie I actually own.
Take small breaks to
I watched
bang
it last
Lonnie
year.
Anderson.
Lonnie
Lonnie
Anderson, I
Anderson.
never understood. Like that seemed like an odd couple, but maybe not because he wore wigs and she had some freaking hair helmet that she wore.
Yeah.
Like what the hell
Yeah.
was that hair?
That was
Like,
the
could not
hair of
move.
the
The
time.
hair of the 80s.
hey Bob,
man.
can you find Lonnie Anderson? See if we can.
Yep.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
She had the hair helmet. Like it was like there
What
was
was
so
the
much.
show that she was on?
We-
She got
we
famous?
are doing that
KRP,
again.
Cincinnati.
WKRP.
Yeah,
that's right.
KRP.
I'm not going to say she wasn't attractive, but she had really odd hair. I couldn't get past the plastic.
God.
hair.
Yeah,
We're
but
doing
that was,
that again.
that was the
This is
style of the
this
80s.
is my
Blow
kind of
your hair
show.
up as big as you can and then spray paint it or spray
It's
hairspray it into place so it wouldn't
There we
move.
go.
I'm
Bringing
sure
in
she
the
went
old
out in the
boom.
wind. If she went out in the
Mhm.
wind, that hair wouldn't move.
Yeah, exactly. Unmovable.
Yeah,
Finally.
you can like
Burt
watch
Reynolds
old
did the
TV
movie.
shows when like hairspray became like popular.
Mhm.
Oh, see,
Look at
that's
that.
not.
Find something younger. Like,
Yeah, it looks more natural
That's
there.
not that long ago. Let's see
Yeah.
here.
When the earlier stuff, when it was about shoulder
Just do-
length, I
just
mean, it
Google
literally looked like a
WKRP in
helmet
Cincinnati.
that you could
find something
detach.
from therapy.
That's her in her prime.
Yeah.
That's her when
Was
she
she
learned
like
to
the
loosen up on her
receptionist that show
hair.
or something?
What's
that?
that?
Was she the receptionist? I can't
Yeah. Yep.
That was actually a pretty good show. You know
No.
what? That show they dealt. No, I thought it was at the time because I was a
love that
music guy.
show.
But there was a scene where they actually brought the show into real life, and in Chicago there was that Who show where people got trampled. People actually died.
Yeah.
And so they tied the story into that, like that radio station was
Oh.
giving away tickets to the show, and they showed like the characters how they dealt with the loss of the kids and all that other stuff. And I mean, like now it would have been so heavy handed, it would have been preachy, it would have been weird,
But
but
it
it
was
was
a
just
Law and Order episode the week after it happened.
right. But I remember them actually dealing with it in a pretty good way. Here's the photo. That's it. That's the hair helmet.
That's
Oh
the
my
hair
god.
helmet.
Yeah. That was crazy. But that wouldn't have stopped me.
That would
Yeah.
It could not stop Pedro. It could only help to contain him.
Yeah, that wouldn't have stopped me. I was like, yeah, that looks crazy, baby. Okay.
Here's here's a full body one. Of
I
them.
think she also, she's kind of known for like she was a big chested lady.
Yeah, you think?
She was the poor man's Farrah Fawcett.
She's a little too cute. There's something weird about the face.
Yeah. She's not enjoying that photo shoot.
The body's okay.
Yeah.
As I said,
That was-
she was the poor man's Farrah Fawcett.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
stop me.
That wouldn't stop. That wouldn't stop me.
Stop,
It wouldn't stop me.
Pedro's
stop
going
me.
back in time right now.
Hey, Pedro,
What's
do
that?
me a favor and say, where are all the white women?
Where are the white women at? Yeah, exactly.
Red, what did I tell you about washing your hands after cross burning? See, it's coming on.
Exactly. Where are the white women at? Oh, dude, like I don't discriminate.
Well, good.
Yeah,
None of us do.
Oh,
either.
hang on a minute. We're gonna talk about like hottest women of all time, man.
How come the show always goes to this and then like Chris?
Because we're men.
Chris
We're
goes
men.
in the
We're
butt
actual high
stuff.
T men.
We're hot-blooded, high-T men.
The butt stuff.
Yes.
Oh wait. What does Citizen say is not gay? Is it
Exactly.
Lonnie Anderson?
Yeah. What
Okay,
we're doing
so
now is not
we've
gay.
redeemed. Yeah, we've redeemed
Yeah.
ourselves in the eyes of the
Exactly.
chat.
Mhm.
Lonnie Anderson has washed it away from our brains.
Exactly.
Thanks, Lonnie. Is she
Mhm.
still around?
I don't think so. I think she may have.
that
Well,
white
you know what? I'm not sure.
Yeah, there was something. There was the Bailey character,
Yeah,
which
that's right.
actually
Yeah.
I always thought was kind of
It was,
somebody.
it was the total Ginger and Marianne thing where
Mm.
Lonnie was Ginger
Yeah,
and
she was
Bailey
like
was
the-
Marianne.
Like the
Yeah,
book
because that
mark
Bailey
kinda
character looked
librarian.
like somebody you'd want to hang out
Yeah.
with more.
Here you go, man.
Okay, what is? Well, of course, that's Raquel Welch, baby.
Mhm.
There
Mm.
you go.
That is not the WKRP chick.
No.
I wish that was the WKRP.
Oh, I would have tuned in more.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude,
but
I'm
now that's
having
the
impure
Shawshank
thoughts.
poster. So
Lonnie
now-
Anderson is 77 years old and still with us.
Oh, there you
What
go.
does she
There
look
you go.
like? Is there a shot of her?
He's
Where-
not a recent shot of
Let's
Where's
just
she at? Where's she at?
Let Pedro at her.
Where's she at?
Pedro doesn't discriminate.
No, don't discriminate.
Hey,
She
Living
needs
in
a
Brazil.
walker.
hey,
Yeah.
I'll bet you she still looks better than Madonna does now.
Oh my gosh,
Dude, she looks hit.
Oh, man.
What was she-
Madonna,
Was it the
Madonna
Grammys?
thinks that she had
Yeah, the
an accident
Grammys,
with
and
a
she did
baseball
it to
bat, man.
herself with
What's
plastic
the Star
surgery.
Trek episode where the woman gets disfigured and they don't know how to put her back
No,
together?
no, no, no. She
Aliens.
looks like Escape from LA. You know, like the plastic surgeon.
Yeah,
sequence?
yeah.
She looks like she was a patient of that guy. Just-
Yeah.
No,
no,
you remember Doctor Who? Remember the alien chick with her? She was just the face stretched out on the rack. Moisturize me, moisturize me.
Yeah.
Moisturize me.
Oh,
This tells you what she looks like because she looks like all of those things.
At the same time.
Okay.
That would
Oh
stop
my
me.
gosh! When you type in Madonna, it immediately shows up the Grammy.
Oh yeah,
That's the
That is
first thing.
horrible.
and apparently
Poor
she
lady.
got defensive and said that people are attacking her misogynistically and ageism. It's like no, there's plenty of older ladies that still look good. It's what you did to yourself, people.
Yeah, dude.
Like
Yeah, what would you
you
make
messed
those
up your face on your own, and people are making fun of you for
Hey,
it.
dude. If anything, what do you call hatred against lizards?
Yeah,
That's what she looks like, a 52-year-old
Here.
lizard. It's
This
horrible.
is what she looks like. This is
Oh,
what
I'm looking now. Yeah, I was gonna try to get it
Yeah, yeah,
before and
yeah.
after.
she wanted to try and look young, and it didn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
oh.
A little stretched out.
Yeah,
Is that
Yeah.
Doctor Who?
that's
Yeah.
not that's not
Well,
No, that's Madonna.
Yeah.
Madonna.
Yeah.
This is from the
I'm a
Grammys.
Just take that.
material
Just take that and stretch it over a T-Rex skull, and you got.
Well,
Madonna.
it's her own fault. It's like, I mean, you got all that money. Get a good plastic surgeon who
Or
knows
just
what they're doing.
Don't
just
do
age
anything.
gracefully.
Yeah.
Age gracefully, yeah, dude.
They can't.
We're a veil.
She
I
didn't
don't
look.
know.
She actually before she got all that plastic surgery, she didn't look that bad.
No,
She looked pretty
yeah,
good
she-
for her age, but it was like,
Yeah.
God,
They're
Yeah, I don't-
rich and
Go
famous. and they-
the Salma Hayek route and just
Yeah.
keep getting hotter as you get older.
Yeah, I wouldn't stop
Good.
with Salma Hayek.
Good God, give me some Salma.
Paige like,
Give me
yeah, I
some
would
good
do that.
Salma
Dude, nobody
Hayek,
would.
man.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Okay.
stop with Salma Hayek. With that
Yeah, but
big Mexican head.
do the age
No.
do the age thing though. Madonna's in her like she's 64 or something.
64.
Kama puta solo.
Yeah.
Salma's got to be right around 60. So, like, Madonna's maybe 4 or 5 years older than Salma Hayek.
The thing is, like the thing is about this plastic surgery is they just it's not that they're not pretty, it's not that they're not old. There's something other. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
she's
It's
turned into
uncanny valley.
something that's kind of not human anymore.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the problem. Is
She
it's
looks
not like,
good.
yeah,
Yeah.
it just doesn't look human. It looks alien-like.
It's
Yeah,
almost
like-
like the uncanny valley or something.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
the eyes, your eyes are telling
the
you
shape
something
Yeah,
that's not
exactly.
right.
It's the shape of her face.
Dude,
Yeah.
she looks like a character from the Polar Express. It's just
Yeah.
not real.
Yeah, it's like
No.
Eric Boyd said, Elizabeth Hurley. Dude, she's 50-something years old. She looks amazing.
Mm.
Well, look at
Yeah.
what's her name that played Wonder Woman. How old is she?
Oh,
Linda
yeah,
Carter?
Linda Carter.
She's almost 80.
Oh yeah, dude. I'll
Linda
break
Carter's
that
older
head.
than Madonna.
I'll
Definitely.
break
Linda
that
Carter's
head. Oh,
Linda
yeah.
Carter's got to be close to 20 years older than me, so she's pushing 70.
Mm.
Yeah, Linda Carter.
Closer to
Linda
80.
Carter looked gorgeous at the end of that last Wonder Woman movie.
Dude, I will make her spin. Ding, ding, ding,
Linda
ding,
Carter's
ding, ding,
71,
ding,
dude,
ding,
man.
ding, ding.
Does not look
Great
71.
picture.
Yeah. Don't get me started, guys.
The thing is, this is what I don't understand. These people have millions and millions of
Yeah,
dollars.
exactly.
And there are really, really good surgeons that can do good work. Why are they using Michael Jackson's surgeon? Like,
Yeah.
why do these people go with, like, these guys are butcherers? Like,
Did you
Yeah,
ever
dude.
see that video of the guy? It's a guy who actually, it's a doctor who does rhinoplasties, and he walked through all the pictures of Michael Jackson throughout his life.
Oh God.
Says this is when he had this nose job, and this is when he had, and dude, it's like fucking 9.
Yeah.
This is when his
Wow.
nose collapsed, and this is,
Yep.
and it was just like fucking so.
The thing is, they have digital technology, and this is the problem. I mean, we're all artists, you know, and we a female face, any attractive face is all proportion. It's like space between nose and lip,
Mhm.
you
Yep.
know, width of eyes, like length of nose. Like, there's a lot of things that are just like, they're inherently, like, the dimensions are
Please,
attractive, right? And so if you have your lips poofed out, well, all of a sudden the distance between your lip and your nose is different. Or like in Michael Jackson's case, if you have a big, like a bigger nose and you start making it smaller, the face doesn't fit the
Doesn't
nose.
match
And,
the-
and
yeah.
yeah, like, things just fundamentally change. I mean, they can change for the better, but more often than not, they don't. The proportions are all off. And that's the thing, like that these surgeons, why don't they know this stuff?
They
Like,
do.
No,
dude,
they
no, they
do.
do. And a lot of them are like they'll come in. Like, there's this one guy, he's on YouTube and he talks about it. And he's like, he actually got to the point where he started refusing to do operations on people. He's like, I'm not doing this. And they were like, okay, then I'm gonna go get somebody else. He's like, then you go get somebody else, but I'm not doing this.
yeah.
I mean,
Because
and
the
they
thing
always
is,
find
with
someone who wants the money, man.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
digital technology, it seems like they could go, all right, here's your face now. This is what it'll look like if you get thicker lips. This is what it'll look like this. Do you still want to do this? And then, you know, I would say, if it didn't look good to me and I was a doctor, I'd say, I don't recommend it. I don't think these things are really going to fit your face.
But, I
But,
mean,
you know, there are
you-
people that do the
yeah.
transgender surgeries. I mean, there are some hacks out there that'll take your money, you know?
yeah,
Yeah,
but
and you're not taking into account that people are nuts.
injections and fucking,
You know,
You never want to
Yeah,
get
like-
that doctor that graduated with a C.
yeah, dude.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, dude.
You don't want to
And
get the
you
guy
get-
that
you
comes.
get- yeah.
You don't want to get the doctor that comes in and goes, "Oh, what are we doing today? Oh,
What are we
okay,
doing?
let's talk
I
about
mean,
it. Let's go."
and you don't get the patient that comes with a picture of like Mel Gibson and Mad Max, like, make it look like this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like,
Hey,
dude,
Art,
I
what
can't do it.
surgeon did you go to after your dog tore your nose off?
It was just natural, just healed.
Mm.
Because you didn't get a little work done there, man. You didn't know.
Man, I'll tell you,
go
that
for
was
a more Jewish look, you know.
that was so overplayed, man. It was a scratch.
Dude, it looked horrible.
I know. Well, because it was still bleeding when I went live streamed. I didn't know that the story is my nose got broken open. Like, the dog just kind of hit me with the claw, and I mean, it didn't hurt or anything. And so then I went live stream on Ethan's channel, and then it's just so bloody.
Acting like
Everyone calling
Art
the
looked like he got
police.
attacked by a werewolf.
It looked like burnt spam. That's how it looked.
right?
He looked like remember the dude that died in American Werewolf in London and came back.
Oh, I didn't look that bad.
Oh,
He was the
Yeah,
best
dude.
part of that movie, man.
Straight out of
Oh,
Band of
yeah.
Brothers. Yeah, just
That
bleeding
guy was
all over the place.
funny.
he did
Yeah.
that other
But
really
Art-
funny movie, After Hours. At the time,
After Hours is a great movie.
That's a
yeah,
great
at
movie,
the time,
man.
It was so like edgy, and you look at it now, and it's like it's nothing. But when it came out, you're like, it was a wild little movie. Fun little movie too.
Yeah.
And then there was another one that was David Bowie, and there was another movie like that had Michelle Pfeiffer and Jeff Goldblum in it, and David Bowie, and they were both kind of like these weird, like they were
After Midnight.
Yeah, but they were kind of, the humor was really original. I don't know how else to explain the humor.
Yeah.
Because isn't Cheech and Chong in one of those? Are they in After Hours?
They're in After Hours. Because that movie, I think it's Dino
De Laurentiis?
Yeah, I think so. But that movie, like I bought it last year, and it's like there's no Blu-ray. I had to fucking get a DVD. But I hadn't seen it like since, and it's weird because what's it? Terry Garr's like she's like the older chick. She's like 35 in it or something. It's like
Into the Night. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Into the Night.
Into the Night. Yeah.
Yeah. Because and Michelle Pfeiffer's brother is an Elvis impersonator, and David Bowie actually plays a hitman.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, it's the first time I ever heard about what do they call it, like keystering, like she had diamonds, like Pfeiffer had diamonds in her cooch.
Yeah,
nice.
But Jeff Goldblum's character was an insomniac.
Yeah, but yeah, like Cheech and Chong was it, and wasn't what's her name, Catherine O'Hara in that movie too?
There was
Chris?
a bunch of people in it.
That was like a murderer's row of like just who's who of like stand up and SNL people.
Dan Aykroyd was in it. He was her brother. It was her brother Herb. He was the Elvis impersonator.
In which one? In the Goldblum one, or
in Into the Night.
Into the Night, yeah. I remember Bowie was actually kind of scary in that movie. He was like, dude, who would be afraid of that guy?
He was almost like he had like a weird serial killer vibe to him.
He was very aloof, but kind of threatening at the same time.
Yeah, because he's
the same show that it's been playing as my background show while I'm working, and I've never ever seen any show with fucking cameos like this of people that like later became famous. I've been watching fucking Miami Vice. Every episode is like 4 or 5 people who like later become stars. It's like it could be a drinking game. There's so many famous people on that show.
Yeah, it's kind of like Full House.
Miami Vice and Full House are almost the identical show.
Same shit, right?
Hey guys, we're over 2 hours.
Yeah, Bob already gave us the sign. All right, man. Once again, somehow we triumph over adversity. And Twitter went down, but that didn't stop the Pontificators from pontificating for 2 hours and bringing you dynamite entertainment, 2 hours of nonstop BSing. And also, Todd, what are we? 3.5 years? We're like the oldest, longest running CG syndicated show. I don't know how to say it.
Syndicated.
Yeah. Some vindication. Yeah.
How many episodes do we have all together?
It's got to be like 1,000.
A bunch.
We did one almost every week for 3.5 years. So
52 times 3.
Yeah, 52 times 3. Maybe take 20 out of that because we did stop for like half a year.
So maybe 150 shows.
69.
Yep.
Wow.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
That's a bunch. It's a bunch.
That's why I'm gray. Yeah. When I started this thing, I was a young man.
You weren't because Art's gray.
Yeah, dude. Seriously though, you weren't quite as gray when we started. Like you had a little bit. It was a little darker in here.
It was salt and pepper.
I'll tell you what. I was completely dark when we started, and now
you're white.
Now you're white. Yeah.
And Pedro started off as a white guy.
I lost all my melanin.
You guys flipped it.
I was from Norway when we started.
Pedro's a melanin vampire.
Pedro's adapting to his new environment.
Exactly.
Pedro makes that's a win.
Pedro's like a chameleon. Like he'll just change. Like if he's around white people, he turns white. If he's around Asian people, he turns Asian.
That's a way to survive, man.
Especially white women.
Adapt to your surroundings.
Exactly. That's how you survive. I can't come all here like Black Panthers and shit. No.
Behind that double door right there is Pedro's like lab, and he just kind of like concocts all kinds of crazy stuff.
He's like Mr. Sinister. He's got DNA from all these people all over the world. Shoots it in his arm. I think I'm going to be Paraguayan today.
I'm gonna be Morgan Freeman today.
Morgan Freeman.
Well,
All right, you guys. Well, hey, thanks everybody in the chat for hanging out with us. Thanks for all the pontificators. This is a great show, you guys. It's always fun hanging out with you. I'm glad we all made it. And we will see you next week at 8 Eastern for another episode of Pontificators. So you guys have a great night, and we'll see you next